Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pipeline episode 81. Connor, how's it going today? How
Hey,
are
what's
you?
up? Like right before the we joined into this,
Oh,
I was looking on my Twitter, and I was posted about the Agents of Shield stuff yesterday, where I was
mhm.
like, Agent of Shield's canon. Somebody replied to me with like pictures of the Darkhold being different, and is like, explain this if it's canon. I wanted to reply so bad, but I was like, I'll wait till after stream. I'll be like, you don't get it. The Darkhold changes how it looks. It's still canon.
Come
That doesn't
here and
change anything.
ask us on
Yeah, yo,
stream
yeah.
why it's
Ask us on
canon.
stream. We'll
Come
explain to you
on.
why. But hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's great to be back. 81. I think we're officially a senior citizen. I
Oh
I would
hell
say the
yeah.
podcast is officially old by this point, which
That,
maybe we get
like.
some benefits now that we're like a
Yeah,
senior citizen, half off on all the grocery stores and stuff could be cool.
you're older than Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and all those
Whoa,
heroes. Yeah,
crazy.
that is pretty
Craven in
crazy.
the chat. How's it going, Craven? Hope you're doing well. No, I'm very excited for this one. I've actually kind of wanted to do this one for a while, and I kind of got the concept off of Christian's channel. I forget his last name, but like they talk a lot about the Marvel and stuff, and they
Sure,
had
yeah,
they had kind of talked about like this idea of like I wonder how many of the post credit scenes still hold up, or they've actually got back around and kind of finished. Or kind of like wrapped up the storylines that they have set up, and I thought it'd
yeah,
be really fun to do like a multi-part like episodes where we just kind of look back at the old post-credit scenes. Did they age well? Do we like them? uh, were they good post-credit scenes? Did they wrap up all the storylines that we've set in motion? um
sure, yeah.
and then I was went through and like rewatched all the post-credit scenes like an hour ago, and I was like, huh, these were a lot different than I remember them
A lot more
being.
serious. The
Yeah, and
Phase One and Two
also
ones.
like we can get into this once we kind of get into that portion of this episode, but I forgot how like it's so much more focused than it
It
is
is, yeah.
now.
You can tell
And
they have a
like
story.
yes, it's very clear, and again, we can say that's a larger either issue or even like benefit of current MCU, but like it was more so, hey, this is the one storyline we're building to,
Yeah,
where even 3 they start going, okay, we're setting up this stuff over here and then this stuff over here, and then phase
yeah,
4 it's each post credit scene, each movie setting up a different thing.
yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun once we kind of get to phase 3, and especially phase 4 we might even need to split up into 2 different ones, because
There's a
that's
lot,
like
yeah.
all of phase that's like all of phase 1 and 2 and 3 like put together. But no, I think it should be a really fun kind of talk once we kind of get to that point.
Yeah. Like
Um,
Phase One and Two, like the one thing that I remember about them is that the credit scenes there, they always felt like they were setting up the next film. Whereas like once you get into
yeah,
Phase Three, it was always like, oh, this post credit scene, nothing will happen to do with it for the next 3 or 4 films, but we'll get there eventually. Whereas with Phase One and Two, it's like, no, we've got Thor's hammer at the end of at the end of Iron Man 2. Like
yeah,
it's clearly the
that's the
next
next one.
film.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's cool.
yeah. There's definitely I think benefits to both. Like I do like a good like even like Thanos was probably the first one where it's like, oh wait, we're setting up for the
Yeah.
future. We
That's
don't see
that's a
him
little bit
again
later.
until we literally don't see him again until the end of phase 2, and then we don't see Thanos officially until what really the end of phase 3. So
Yeah.
it's it's
We
it's
see him a good bit in
interesting.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess, but I guess like as an actual character, I guess he's
Sure,
fully
yeah.
forced
Yeah.
in what end of phase 3. But no, it's gonna be very fun to dive into that later. But Connor, was there anything that you watched over this past week that you like, or even
What did I
games
watch?
or
I
comics, or I
played
don't know, anything you want to talk about?
I finished 100%ing Jedi Fallen Order, which that was
Ooh.
pretty fun. That game, I swear to God, that is one of the most frustrating 100%s I've ever had to do in my life. I started Assassin's Creed Origins, and that's been really fun. I haven't played Origins since like 2017, so it's
Mm,
been really fun getting back into that. Um, what did I watch? I started Twin Peaks, which like
yeah.
I've been wanting to watch that for a long time. Like that's been one of those TV shows that I feel like I've always had to see just because of how important it is for the TV landscape. Um, and in first year of college, when we did TV studies, like The Wire and Twin Peaks were the two shows that like we were being shown the first episodes of because of how important they
Wow.
were. Um, and that Twin Peaks pilot is amazing. Now after that pilot, I'm not sure if I liked much of it. Like it's just it's a weird show, and honestly, it's given me a little bit of more respect for Riverdale because like Riverdale isn't good. It isn't good, but I can completely see what Riverdale was trying to do now. Like, to
Yeah.
me, it feels like Riverdale was trying to be a modern day Twin Peaks. And while
Yeah.
Twin Peaks is definitely the better show, like, I respect it because I'm watching Twin Peaks and I'm like, this is kind of the vibe Riverdale was trying to like. Riverdale didn't do this vibe nearly as well, but this was like
Yeah.
what Riverdale was trying to do. I get that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Other than that, and I caught up on Invincible. I watched that might have been kind of it. I mean, I watched a few other shows, but I'm trying to think what they were.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's Twin Peaks, Invincible. I watched the new Bad Batch episodes. They were pretty good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is it
that was
over
fun.
or are
No,
they
it's got
still got
another
some to go?
4 weeks, I think.
Okay. Oh,
I think
cool,
it's like
cool,
the
cool, cool.
1st of May it ends on.
Okay. I just saw that they had posted like the 2 at once. So I was like, oh, is
They've
it
been
the
doing that
final
every few
2?
weeks. Yeah, so the
That's
way that they've been
weird.
doing it is like 1 week they'll drop 2 episodes, the next week they'll drop 1 episode, then the week after
Okay.
that they'll do 2 again, then 1 again. It is kind of a weird format, but I think it's like they're trying to get the whole season out as quick as possible, but they don't want to do 2 episode drops every week.
What's the rush? Is it like The Acolyte
I don't
or
know. Maybe because or maybe they want it out before May 4th because it ends like the week of May
Oh.
4th.
Oh, okay, so probably lining it up. Okay, that's
Yeah.
alright then. That's fair. I don't know, but then why don't you just start sooner in that case? I feel like there
Yeah,
wasn't
you could have.
I don't know. It's
Maybe it
whatever.
wasn't finished. I'm not sure because they got these out pretty quick. Like Bad Batch season 2 was out last year, so like
Yeah.
they've been pretty good at kind of getting these out, pretty consistently.
Hey, that's great. That's kinda
Yeah,
what I want more from, like, streaming and stuff. Like, I'm
yeah, same.
hoping, like, with X-Men, like, apparently season 2 I don't know if it's finished, but, like, the voice work's been done for, like, a
Yeah,
year, like, apparently it's almost done, so hopefully, like, 25, like, early 25 or something, we can
I
get
can see
new
that. Yeah,
seasons. Like, that'd be
like
that's
around the
kinda
start
what
of year.
yeah, I would that's just I miss that formula of TV being like, alright, like, I get maybe not every 4 months you have to have a season because that's what it used
Yeah,
to be, right? You have a 4-month break and then it comes back. I get
yeah,
that's a lot, but, like, at least once a year, I feel like is, like, the bare minimum for a lot of these
yeah,
shows.
absolutely.
It's
Is X-Men 9 episodes?
10. It's
Okay,
10
10.
episodes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, there's something I was gonna say later on about Punisher stuff, and I was like, you know what? The X-Men's episode count might play into this, but okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
It's so nice to have, like X-Men, not to, like, glaze on it again because I did that last week, but, like, it's the most, like, show feeling that I think, like, Disney Plus has done for, like, their Marvel
Sure,
things. Like,
yeah,
it feels like a weekly TV show again. It feels
sure.
like you have 10 weeks. Each episode is formulated like a TV show. It's so good. I love it. Just kind of want more of this kind of stuff for
Yeah,
Disney Plus.
absolutely.
As far as what I watched this week, X-Men, I did watch X-Men this week. This week was my least favorite episode. I don't know if you've got
Okay.
caught up yet.
No, no, I'm gonna binge the whole old show one of
You
these
better
weeks.
do it. No.
I'll do it. Before the final, I'll do it.
Yeah, I it was my least favorite, not because it's bad, just because I think the first 3 were so peak. Like, I thought the
Sure,
first 3
yeah.
were incredible, like, some of the best thing that Disney Plus has put out in a while. And then this episode was, like it's kind of filler, which, like, not all filler, but the first half was kind of fillerish, and then it's like, "Oh, it's kind of filler," but then I think about it, but that's 90s X-Men. Like,
Yeah.
90% of 90s X-Men is filler, so it wouldn't feel right if it didn't have any filler throughout its run. It would just
I mean,
feel
that was just
weird.
animation back then anyway.
Yeah.
Like, they you would rarely get, a bunch of episodes that
Hey,
follow a
Connor.
plot. It'd be
Or
like,
Noah.
"Hey, I'm Connor."
Hey, Connor. No, 100%. No, and, like, not to spoil it, but it did bring back, like, an iconic villain from the OG run, so I like that it's there, and it did push some things. So, again, it wasn't bad, it was just my least favorite.
Sure, yeah.
Walking Dead season 7 was finished this week.
Hell yeah. Oh,
We
Ones Who
talked
Live. I watched Ones Who Live as well. Sorry.
Oh,
Forgot
yeah?
about that. But yeah, what'd you think about season 7?
No, I liked season 7. I did. I didn't I don't know how I feel about it, actually, because,
Sure,
like,
yeah.
it's very clearly my least favorite from the show.
Yeah.
Like, if season 6 kinda, like, stumbled off the path a little bit, like, season 7 kinda feels like they jumped off a cliff in a way. Just
Yeah.
the quality difference from the first 6 to this one. But, like,
Yeah.
I still thought it was, like, pretty good TV. Like, I did not think it was,
No,
like,
yeah,
a
I agree.
bad season of TV. Like, the like, general storyline is honestly one of my favorite storyline just, like, in concept, I think it's really cool, like, breaking these characters down to their lowest moments and then getting to boost them back up throughout the entire back. Like, that is
Yeah.
so cool, and I love the concept of, like, getting all of these different camps and stuff and trying to, like, having to come together as a unit to face off against this giant thing and setting up from this world. Like, that is all really
Yeah.
cool. It's just these little things where it's like, yeah, this is probably my least favorite, just in general, just these little like nitpicky stuff. Hey, this doesn't make sense. Hey, there's way too many characters. Hey, this character's being very stupid. Just little things that I feel like the first 6 didn't have.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. I think like season 7 it's still much better than like a lot of TV shows, that you'd find out there. Like a lot of the standard TV shows, season 7 still beats it. But in terms of the Walking Dead quality, season 7 just does not hold up.
Yeah.
Like in comparison to, the prison seasons or the season where they're on the road or even the first Alexandria season. But it's like as well, I think they really, really, really wanted to hammer home the point that Negan had these characters sort of he broke them completely, and I think they spent too long on that because at some point there's only so much of that you can take. Like, there's only so much that you can watch. Like,
Yeah.
and this is going back to, I guess, how it felt like when it was airing for the first time. Like we had the premiere, which was the most insane, darkest, heavy episode of the entire show. Still to this day, I don't think another episode of The Walking Dead has been as heavy as that season 7 premiere. But then, you wait a week and you just get Carol and Morgan at the Kingdom. You wait another week and you just get Daryl in with the Saviors. Then you wait another week and you finally see Rick after 4 weeks, and it's in Alexandria, where it's like Negan coming in with his baseball bat and he says things like, "I just slid my dick down your throat and you thanked me for it." Service. Like, and then the following week you're off with Tara.
Pretty good
and Heath.
impression.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like it just feels like such a disjointed season because, well, on a
Yeah,
binge,
it
I'm
does.
sure it doesn't feel as much. But like weekly, you're finally waiting
Right.
and you're going, I hope this is finally the week where they turn against Negan or where they stop,
Sure.
being in the roles they're in at the moment. And then you're like, you tune in, it's an episode that's focused on one or two characters where Negan's still being kind of the worst guy ever. And there's only so much of that you can take. And it's just, that was what season 7 was to me, was just nonstop kind of pushing you in a direction that you've already been pushed in far too much, and you're already sick of that direction. And thankfully season 8 does steer that away, where it's the complete opposite. But I still think season 8 does the same thing, where you're being pushed too far in one direction and the show doesn't really steer away from that until season 9. And then, in my opinion, season 9 starts to kind of correct all of the issues that season 7, season 8 had. So I'm really excited to see what you think about season 9.
Yeah, I'm curious for these next couple seasons for sure. Because like, again, season 9, like we had talked about, like I've heard the opposite ends of the sticks. I've heard people say, "Hey, I love season 7 and 8. I don't like 9 and 10 and 11." And
That's
then
so insane to me. Everybody loved 9 when it came out. It was like everyone was like saying The Walking Dead's like it's a show again, like it's a thing again. That's crazy.
It's just this fandom, man, where everyone's going to have a different take, and that, I think that's a good. Like, I like when everyone can have an equal take. And I mean, just this week, like I'm not caught up, but like the ones who lived that final episode, like I've definitely seen the two ends of the spectrum. People who really, really, really loved it. I've seen people who really, really, really hate it. You seem like you're kind of in that middle section of like both, right? It's kind of like I loved and hated it.
Yeah, it's sometimes like there are still some great scenes in season 8. Like there's a scene with Rick and Morgan in season 8 that I like. I'm like, this is Rick kind of in his season 5 era. Like this is the greatest scene with Rick outside of season 5. And there's this moment, and there's also an episode, something big happens at some point, and there's kind of an aftermath dealing episode focused on two particular characters in an area, and the way that they deal with that is so real, and it's so heavy. And I'm like, season 8 in general, it's my least favorite season by a lot, but it's still pretty consistently will give you a scene or a moment that you're like, this feels as good as anything from the old seasons. Which, so at least, like, I'll give The Walking Dead credit for that. Even in its bad seasons, you can still count on it to sometimes give you something that you're like, that's really good.
Yeah, I feel like I've been so burned with like bad TV at this point. Like, even when things aren't great, I feel like I'm still in this idea of like, yeah, but I've seen way worse, so I kind of like this. Like, if season 7 was someone's least favorite season, I'm like, that's not a bad worst season. Like, I've seen much worse seasons. So I'm curious. You
deal with like Flash for years. It's kind of like you go into Walking Dead and you're like, all right, well, like, it's not that bad.
I've been thinking about that a lot. Like the Flash season 7 versus Walking Dead season 7, I was like, this is like miles above what the Flash gave us that season.
By a lot, yeah.
But like I will say, like, as final thoughts on season 7, like I think it will go down in my history books of TV. It's just like probably one of the hardest seasons of TV I've ever watched. Just as
Yeah.
like emotionally, like that first half was really rough for me to get through. Like,
Sure, yeah.
like episode 1 was like this complete shock of just like, I don't know what I just watched. And then episode 4, I'd come to a point by the end was like, I don't want to watch this right now. Like,
Yeah.
I physically don't want to be here.
You need to be in a
And
good mindset for it.
it was rough. Just again, getting to see them strip everything that
Yeah.
these characters were to their core and take that away. The first 6 seasons of them building up to everything they own, and this episode is tearing that all away. It's hard. It's a hard
Yeah.
watch. Not to say that's bad, but like I do think episode 4 is my least favorite because it was the one I enjoyed watching the least out of all of them.
It's
Um,
really tough.
yeah,
And when they burn the mattresses as well, like,
ugh,
when they take the beds and then Michonne goes out and it's like they're just there on fire.
yeah,
And, like, when they take the
they're
deer
not
she
even
shot as
using it.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're taking this just to break them down a little bit more. I think
Mhm.
it I think, like, season 7 is still so interesting from a character's perspective because with Rick, it's pretty clear that Rick got Alexandria and everyone into this situation. Like, Rick, was the cockiest, grisliest guy ever in the entire apocalypse in season 5. Like, in season 5, Rick really felt like he'd kill you just for looking at him the wrong way. And
Yeah.
then you come to here where he's barely hanging on. He seems just so broken mentally because he's realizing himself, like, I've led all of these people into such a terrible, terrible situation. And like Rick gets really cool again in later seasons. Once you live, he's really cool and stuff like that. But he never, ever, ever reaches that level of pure, I guess, just I don't know, sheer power. Like he never
Mhm.
feels as powerful as he did in season 5 again. And I think it's really interesting that shows stayed consistent with that, where it's like they kept Rick always just a little bit away from season 5
Mhm.
because he was broken by Negan in season 7 and he was never able to get back up again,
Yeah.
which I think that's really interesting.
It is. I feel like I started off the show being like, I'm not so sure how I feel about Rick as just a character. And he's still not my
Sure,
like
yeah.
favorite character, but I think he's the most interesting by far. And
Yeah.
I feel like he's a character that's always moving, a character that's 7 seasons in, and he still feels like he never feels like he's in the same spot. Or it feels
I
like his
agree
character's
completely.
always kind of like morphing and changing, and even when he's kind of heading in that same direction, it's not the same character from season to season.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of interesting.
Not to make another comparison to Flash, but it reminds me of like the way in Barry, it never really felt like
Yeah.
Barry was changing with the events he was facing.
No.
It always felt like Barry kind of was the same character no matter like during like initial arcs, like during Zoom stuff, he was a bit of a darker character or whatever. But then it
Right.
felt like in season 3, he was just back to how he was in season 1 anyway. Whereas
Yeah.
with The Walking Dead, it always feels like the events happening are changing Rick. Like
Yeah.
an event doesn't happen that doesn't change who he is as a character, which I think that's just really good writing.
I agree. Yeah. I would argue all the Arrowverse shows kind of go through that where like
Yeah, sure.
things are happening in the show, but characters kind of are the same
Yeah.
throughout the whole. I guess outside of maybe like Sarah. Like Sarah's the one I
Sarah
think
does
kind of
change, yeah.
moves in and out, but even then, like the last couple, she kind of stayed in that general area.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with that completely.
yeah, it's just a thing. But no, I'm excited to get. I'm hoping April I'm caught up with the show, like the main show.
Oh,
I'm
wow,
hoping I'll
okay,
be done.
cool.
Like I'm hoping to get one out a week going forward. I haven't
Yeah.
started season 8 yet. I don't know. There's something kind of holding me back with season 8. I'm a little nervous, but I'll get into it soon. I'll get
I
into it.
I think season 9 will make you wanna, like, binge the show again. Season
Yeah.
10 and season 11 are different, though, because they are very disjointed. Because like, season 10 and season 11 are about 20 plus episodes, and,
Oh yeah.
um
I'm a bit
yeah.
nervous for that.
But, like, also with season 10, it's like you had a whole string of episodes that were made during COVID, so they're, like, one-off
Yeah.
episodes that don't deal with
Is that
really.
season 10 then?
That is
Is
season 10,
COVID
yeah.
season? I'm
Yeah.
very curious about that season because I've heard people be like there's some really good episodes in here, and it seems more like an anthology, right? More of like each one's on its
Kind of,
own.
yeah. Well,
Okay.
The COVID episodes are like each one deals with something that happened in the show already, but it's focused on one character. Like it's like you got one like dealing with like I guess I shouldn't say characters, so you know who dies and who doesn't. But it's interesting. Some of them are really good. Some of them you're like, we could have done without this.
Yeah. I'll be curious. I'm excited to like I'm officially at a point with The Walking Dead. I feel like I'm caught up to the point that I have like history with in a way. So like 2017,
Sure, yeah.
2018 was when I started watching live. I was starting to get into fandoms. And this is like when I look at the current show, it's like, oh yeah, that's the show I remember people talking about.
Yeah.
This is the era of people so that's been really fun.
That's
And
really
there's
cool.
been this weird like deja vu type thing, be like, oh, like there's just like a lot of the like Negan quotes like set me
Yeah.
back, was like, oh, I've heard this quote. Like the like, you gotta be kidding me, or like
Oh,
that
you
scene where it's like,
gotta be kidding me.
you're
I
like,
love
oh
it.
yeah, there's so many Negan quotes. It's like, I know this scene even though I've never seen the show before. Just
I
Negan as a character is weird because again, I
Yeah.
feel like he's the most like, would it be weird to say he's one of the most iconic characters outside
I
of Rick?
I would absolutely say is, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, the even just, like, the moment where he gets into Alexandria and they do the giant, like, pan out of the camera and he's like, "This place is magnificent." Like, I've seen that so many times where people just take a
Yeah.
sticker of Negan and put him inside, like, a Minecraft thing. It's like, "This place is magnificent." Like, it's
Yeah.
just it is really iconic.
And also Shane. Like I got a lot of memes from Shane as well.
Oh,
Like
he scratch his head
I I
all the
love that,
time.
like, what is that? What is that? He's
What
just
is
running
that,
through the
oh?
field.
So good. I'm interested to see how you feel about Daredevil Born Again, seeing, John Bernthal in a
Yeah,
non-Shane role.
I know. I'm gonna have to rewatch. I want to go through that saga as well. Like
Sure. I mean,
before the
we were gonna do that, weren't we?
yeah, we
Rewatch
weren't.
them?
We never did. We'll have to after my like Walking Dead. We'll have to just dive into
Yeah,
it or
let's do
something.
it.
I think that'd
I'm
be fun.
down.
All right, let's read through some comments really quick. Darth Bunya said, I feel like the ones who lives is trying to um they're kind of talking about like Rick as his character inside the new show. Do you agree that there's not much else to do with his character without spoiling it clearly? But like,
Um, I would say I could do without them doing more with them.
mm,
I think where they left the ones who live, kind of it wraps up a lot
yeah,
of the stories there with particular characters. So like I think, if we didn't revisit the character ever again, that's fine. I feel
yeah,
like that the I'm happy with the ending here for certain characters rather than where his last Walking Dead appearance was. I think like
sure,
after his last Walking Dead appearance, if we never saw him again, I would have been annoyed. But now it's like, okay, I'm fine with us
yeah,
ending there.
yeah. It makes me more excited to kind of go through it because I don't know what happens with Rick on the main show, but
Sure,
I
yeah.
remember when it happened, like there was I've never seen the internet break like that in a while of just like
Yeah.
pure pain and like just like unbelief of like, how do they do that? And again, I'm so fascinated to see what they actually do with it because somehow I don't
Yeah.
actually know. I don't know how I avoided that, but like,
Without spoiling, it's as we thought one thing, they had announced one thing, and they had like we'd prepared ourselves for like a month beforehand for this exact
mm,
thing happening. Even the Walking Dead like social media pages were like laying out their things that if you looked at it from a glance, the whole thing would like be a giant picture of Rick on their posts. Um, but then what actually happened in the show and then what got announced immediately afterwards was not at all what they had said was going to be. So they tricked everybody into thinking it was one thing, and then it ended up being something else.
yeah,
So that was really cool.
yeah. I'm curious. I'm feeling that I think I know the season it happens, unfortunately, which
Okay.
I kind of wish I didn't, but that's just kind of the course of the road of, again, like
Sure,
I
yeah.
knew so many things prior to jumping into the show. Um, but let's kind of talk about something that a lot of people have kind of known for a while, something that's been theorized but has officially been confirmed this week. We officially have the casting for
Oh,
Silver
yeah.
Surfer in the MCU. Man, it feels good to have official Fantastic Four casting.
Yeah. Feels like
Obviously,
it's
we
moving
got
along.
it feels like we're finally actually like making a project here. It feels like we're
Yeah, it does.
actually like it just feels good. Like and I feel like I could finally like get excited for this project. Like I can finally like it's real. It feels for the
Yeah,
first time it's real. Um how are you feeling on this casting? Obviously, there's a lot of things to break down here. There's a lot of things to
it is,
talk
yeah.
about. Inherently, what are your thoughts on Silver Surfer being a woman? Because this is obviously again we've heard this months ago. It was rumored.
Yeah.
We heard a completely different casting when it was
Yeah,
rumored.
Anya
What?
Taylor-Joy was one of them, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
she was.
No, yeah, I mean, it's Shella Ball. either Shallow. I'm not exactly sure the pronunciation of the name, but it's a character that is the female Silver
Yes.
Surfer in the comics. It's not Norrin Rad, who's the Silver Surfer everybody kind of knows or recognizes.
Mhm.
For like, it's a deep cut Marvel character, but it's still a big Marvel character. It's not like
Right.
they're pulling a random character out of a hat. Like she was in the Silver Surfer animated show. She was in a lot of alternate universe Marvel stuff where she was the main Silver Surfer. So it's not really kind of too big a deal to me because it's an actual Marvel character. Which I think it's insane when you see all the kind of the outrage about it because Shalabal is one of the she's one of the oldest Marvel characters. Like I was looking into it, she was created in 1968. Like that's before Iron Fist, before Moon Knight, before Luke
Yeah.
Cage, before any of these characters existed in the comics. So you see a lot of these YouTube accounts that claim to be huge comic book fans
They're
coming
not.
out and being like, "What are they doing? They're ruining. They're making it woke." Like, no, this character has existed since before you were even born.
Right.
Like, this isn't woke. This is just adapting the source material in a way that
Yeah.
works for the MCU. Like, what? So I know. I think it's great. I think Julie Garner is a great actress. She was really good in The Americans. And I saw some of Ozark. I never finished it, but she was great in what I saw of Ozark.
Yeah.
And she's been in a few other kind of smallish roles that I've seen in shows scattered kind of around the place. But yeah, no, I think it's good casting. It's an interesting character. I'm kind of happy they're not doing Norrin Rad because I think I don't know, like the Fantastic Four 2000s films already kind of did him a little bit. And well, yeah, that
Yeah.
wasn't the greatest adaptation. I think it'll be cool to kind of do some things that are going to separate this from that Fantastic Four film. So, I mean, we know Galactus is gonna. Well, we don't know for sure, but it's super heavily rumored Galactus is going to be in the film. So I think this makes
Yes.
sense for that as well. So
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
excited.
Yeah, it does. Like as far as talking about like those accounts, like it's so even if they do know that this is already in a character, I don't think they care. Like
Yeah,
it's so clear that
it's for
these
clicks.
accounts, these accounts aren't fans of what they're talking about, or if they are, they're not there to talk about what they love. They're there
Yeah,
to hit this narrative. They know exactly what they're going to like. They know like exactly what it takes to get those clicks. They know, hey, like I guarantee half of these accounts are praying for stuff like this to come out because they know
yeah,
they'll get all of this
views.
money from all these weirdos clicking on the videos. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
that's very
Like
true.
it's a frustrating like atmosphere, and I've come to a point where I used to all the time just like pull up the thumbnails and be like, these guys are so stupid, but I'm at a point with it where it's like that's just helping them by this point. Like that's exactly what they want us to do. So I'm trying my best to because it was so weird because like all of the and this is so sad, but like all of like when this news had come out, it wasn't holy shit, the Silver Surfer. All of it was like, oh, they're gonna be pissed about this. Oh, they're
Yeah,
gonna be mad about this. Like that was every comment, and I hate that. That's
I do
the
hate
like
that.
environment. Like that sucks, man. I really like. So how long have we been waiting for this character? A
Yeah,
long time. Silver Surfer in the MCU 5 years ago would have been like, holy shit. You
yeah.
know what I
I mean, people
mean?
thought we were going to get the character at Infinity War, so it's like
Yeah,
it's cool. It's happening now.
yeah. I'm I'm excited. I am excited for this movie. I mean, I'm really glad that my hype for this movie is changing. Again, a year ago, no, it's like 6 months ago, I wasn't because again we had nothing for it.
Yeah,
So again, the fact we're getting this casting for it, I've heard a lot of people say that maybe we might still get the OG like Silver Surfer because like I've heard people say, well, this might be taking place on another Earth. Like that's been the
yeah,
rumor.
could be.
So if this is the case, maybe she's the one for their Earth, and then they go over here and then we get the other one, which I think could be like a great compromise of getting both characters.
Yeah. I think she's Norrin Rad's lover in the comics, so they might do something like that either as well, where it's like
Mm,
wherever she's from, Norrin still exists. It's just
right.
maybe he's not the Silver Surfer there. He's not the Herald of Galactus at the moment or something like that. Maybe he was, and maybe she's the next one. Could do
Sure.
something like that.
Sure. I've also just seen like I saw a comment earlier on my Twitter like about like the Galactus thing that was kind of interesting where like if they are on another Earth, it'd be really cool if we actually got to see that Earth get like eaten by him. Like if
Oh,
we
that'd be
actually get
cool.
to see
Kind
the
of like
like
an antimatter
def-
wave sort of thing.
sure, yeah, we're like that Earth is just gone. Like obviously
Yeah,
he's not going to eat our MCU
yeah. But
Earth,
we see it
but
happen to somewhere else, so that we
yeah,
can see the stakes for here.
that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. It'd be interesting to kind of see where again we go with the Silver Surfer character. What do you want to see? I'll be honest, I'm not like an expert on like the Silver Surfer character. Like I know of them. I couldn't tell you much outside of like the bare knowledge of them. Like,
sure.
is
Yeah.
there anything you want to see from this character inside this movie? Where do we think we're taking the
I
Silver
just want
Surfer?
to. I just want to see him surf. You know, I just want to see him. You know, maybe get to our Earth, and or
Yeah.
I want to see, you know, if it's Noran or Shala, whichever character. I want to see him get to our Earth, and they're like, oh, there's some good waves, and then they surf the waves. That's what I was thinking. No, I don't know. I think there isn't a whole lot. I just want to wait and see what sort of vibe we're dealing with here,
Yeah.
because it's like, you know, the John Krasinski version of Mr. Fantastic we saw, they could go with that vibe. They could go with a more 2005 Fantastic Four vibe, like, because those are two pretty very different versions of these characters, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it really does depend on the tone they're going for. Like, but it would be cool if this is a Silver Surfer in a 1960s style aesthetic. If we're still
Right.
expecting it to be set in the 1960s. So I think that'd be interesting to see how that works. Like, did they change anything up for that? Um, but yeah, I'm hyped to see Galactus. I think Javier Bardem was the last kind of actor I heard rumored for the character, which I think that'd be awesome. But the article that came out yesterday talking about Julia Garner said that there's no actor currently in line for Galactus. So I'm not sure if maybe Javier Bardem dropped out, if he was never actually involved, or if it is just, you know, it's not confirmed, but he still might be.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. You know, just kind of like parting words on it. Like, Silver Surfer is also a character. Like, kind of going back to like the gender thing. I always
Yeah,
kind of saw them more of as like a genderless character as well. Like, I don't
yeah,
think
yeah, for
like
sure.
Silver Surfer, I'm just like, oh, this dude is super. Like, he's just like this being from outer space. So like,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily like think it's that big of a deal either way what gender they are.
yeah, I
Um,
completely agree. Like, to me, from what I know of the character, it doesn't feel like it would change too much with the
no,
story, you know, to make it a different version or a different gender.
I agree. Just kind of wrap this up really quickly. We actually just got a Fantastic Four poster, a new poster that dropped.
Right
We want to
there.
look at that.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
we
way.
had.
Oh, cool. That's Jay Storm. Wait, is
Yep,
Storm happy 4 foot? That's pretty cool. Good for them
yeah.
for doing with that.
It seems like marketing, man. It seems like
Yeah.
they're like actually marketing the movie a year away, which I think it's smart. I
Yeah,
really
I
do.
agree.
Like it seems like these next couple years, as far as their movies go, like they have a very small like select movies, and I think
Yeah,
actively marketing it now for the next, kind of like what Superman's been doing with their movie, where like
for sure.
every couple months we get a new piece of like info, and it's like they're casually marketing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Is this the first MCU project that the posters feel like comic book covers?
oh yeah, yeah,
Because, like, I can't think of another MCU project that's brought out posters where they just feel like comic books, which I think more like comic book movies need to do that, is where they really lean into the comic book aspect.
I agree. And Darth, I would also say that I would agree with that. Like I think the time
Yeah,
era also made me much more excited.
for sure.
Not to say that like current day MCU isn't exciting to be, because it is, but like I just think the MCU is. I think we are all just craving new stuff, just
We are.
new ideas, new storylines, new locations, new ideas. Like I think we're just craving new stuff. So,
Yeah. But it's also like the aesthetic of like Captain America, the first Avenger, and the first Captain Marvel film, they still stick out to me because they feel different because they're not set in modern
yes,
day. So
I
like I
agree.
think it would be cool to have Fantastic Four kind of slot in there where it's like a trilogy of MCU films that are not in modern day.
Yeah, I would agree. Um, Speaking of new things, yesterday we got a whole new bucket of, or I guess not a whole lot of new things, but we got first looks at upcoming Disney projects with Lion King's
Very different, those
Mufasa,
two projects.
Daredevil, Born Again, and Moana. I know, I thought it was very funny to just have this two wholesome
Yeah.
Disney movies and just have the
Bloody
Punisher in the
Punisher in the
middle.
middle. Love it.
Let's just kind of go through the line here. We can do, actually we'll save the Daredevil for last, because I feel like we
Sure, yeah.
save that for last. Mufasa. We talked a little bit about this in our first of the year most anticipated. This was my most anticipated of 2024. And I don't know, this poster's kind of changed in my mind a little bit, because that's a horrible first look. Like, it's a bit blurry the way I put it in there, but like still, like that is probably one of the worst first look photos I've
Yeah.
seen in a while. Like, I don't know. I was kind of hoping that maybe with all the backlash, maybe they would have made the lions look a little bit more not so real, I guess, because
Yeah.
that was one of the big criticisms from the first Lion King.
Try to make them look emotive.
Yeah, like I was hoping, like, we have a new director in here. They saw all the criticisms, maybe we would make it look. Obviously, it's not going to be the animated like I want. That would be my dream come true. It's like another animated Lion King. That'd be like the
Sure,
dream.
yeah.
I get that, but maybe do something with their eyes, make them look more animate-ish, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a live action lion, but their eyes and their facial features are more animated. That's what somebody like a Little Mermaid was doing, where they had like more of a CGI face to make him look more like cartoonish. I was hoping maybe they do something like that. I don't know. Like I think again, I'm so very excited because it's a new Lion King movie. It's definitely more excited than I was for the last one, because the last one was just like, hey, it's the same movie, but again, where this is like it's an original story with these characters that I love, with original music, with an award-winning director. Like, there's still stuff I'm very excited for, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just seeing the first official look and it be that is just kind of hurts my soul.
It
I'm scared.
it like, as somebody who's kind of not really into kind of a whole lot of the more like straight up Disney films or Disney projects,
Right.
to me, this first look, it just it lacks color, it
Yes.
lacks it lacks any sense of like depth or background. Like, it looks real while also looking like it's on a green screen at the same time.
Yeah.
The lion, is that a lion or a tiger? It is Lion King, so it's
It's
lion, yeah.
it's a lion. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. I just want to be sure. But
It's Tiger King now.
it's Tiger
It's a
King, yeah.
whole different, it's a
I
whole
was gonna say,
different
like,
franchise.
were there tigers in the original animated Lion King stuff? I can't
No,
remember.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, good to know. Uh,
It's Jungle Book.
but oh yeah, there you go. I'm getting them mixed up, getting all my Disney projects mixed up. But like, it sounds like yeah, it looks like a realistic lion. But at the same time, to me, that
Yes,
reminds me of is like this really shaky sort of National Geographic documentary or
yeah,
something like that, where somebody's sort of in a wild and they see the lion and they kind of zoom in, so it looks kind of bad, and
right.
it's like the camera's not like framed or it's shaking. It looks like a bad documentary
Yeah,
is the vibe I get off of that picture, which is kind of insane to me that a Lion King film made by Disney looks like that.
yeah.
Like, that's kind of baffling.
I agree, and it sucks because it is like a nature, like it looks like it's taken out of a nature film, but I think it always strips away any of like the magic that a nature film would have.
Yeah,
Like, there is something special. Like, I would argue that most of those type of movies and stuff where you see animals in the wild look better than this is, because I think you add this like a weird talking animal. I don't know. I don't see why some of these remakes can't be like animated movies. Like, I don't know why a movie like this because it's not even live action. It's not like it
yeah,
is an actual. It's basically animated. Why don't you just full on just do it? Like, why don't you just do like an animated movie? I think this prequel could have been a prequel to the original film. I think it would have been received a lot better.
yeah,
I actually don't know why Disney doesn't do that more of, instead of rebooting all of these movies. Why don't we just revisit some of the franchises that are already there? Instead of doing an Aladdin sequel, we could do a sequel to the original. Like, I don't know. I feel like that would, and again, maybe it's cheaper to do it this way. Maybe it's more, like animation takes a very long time. But like,
yeah.
look at the hype of like Inside Out 2 right now, and like Moana 2 and stuff like this. Like, I don't know. I'm it's still like my most anticipated. I think I have to keep it there just for like merits that like it's a Lion King prequel, one of my favorite fictional characters of all time. I still have to keep it in my most anticipated, but like,
Sure, yeah.
this drains a lot of the excitement for me. Like, it just it was kind of like a kick in the nuts a little bit when I saw this photo.
Oof.
I don't know. But Moana 2, we got our first kind of look at that, which didn't give us much. So we won't stick on that long. But I did like getting like another look at the film. Like, there was a lot of conversations when that first trailer dropped. There was a lot of concerns about like, oh, it's going to look like a Disney Plus show, because that's what it was originally. Like, it was a show that they morphed into a movie. A lot of people were like, it's going to look low budget. It's not going to look as good. I personally don't see much of a difference from this photo and the original movie. Like, to me, it does look like a theatrical film, and to me, it does seem like there has been active work for a while. Like, I think the change from TV show to movie must have happened, I would argue, maybe at least a year ago. So it seems like there has been an active workaround to get this all in order.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's wrong, because when the live action show was coming out, or like when the live action movie was a thing, they're like, oh, we're still working on the show. It's still happening. So maybe not everyone knew the switch yet. Maybe like some of the people working on it didn't know that it was getting transformed to a movie. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm excited for it. That's probably my second most anticipated of the year. If that tells you anything. You haven't seen them, right? You haven't seen the first one?
I saw the first one, yeah, a
You did?
while ago. Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. It was good.
Yay!
Yeah. I need to rewatch it. It's like I think I watched it during COVID. So that
Oh,
was kind
that's
of
a
when
good
that was
time.
kind of the year where I watched like 300 movies or something because there was nothing else to do. So like a lot of the films
Yeah.
unfortunately kind of blended together because it was like, well, this is my fourth film of the day. What was the other one I watched today? It's like that was kind
Right.
of the vibe. So I need to rewatch it for sure.
That's fair. That's fair. No, I mean, I think I talked about this in the last one that we talked about this, but like that movie held such a special place in my heart because it was the one that got me back into Disney. Like it was in
Sure,
that
yeah.
phase of like I'm too old for like I still liked it, but like I wasn't as into it because I'm like a teenager. I'm gonna watch some other things. I'm gonna get away from it a little bit. And like that theater experience, and I expected nothing when I was like,
Yeah.
we're gonna see this movie, whatever, and that was such a fun theater experience. So good. So I'm excited for getting the sequel.
Cool.
And then Mr. Daredevil had a teaser
Oh
trailer. When
yeah.
I say teaser trailer, I mean 1 second.
Yeah, it less than a second. I think the discussing film tweet, it doesn't even say 001, it says 000 because it just comes up under a second, which is insane. They've giving us nothing at all, and I'm still so hyped, and I'm still gonna
Yeah,
be there
that
day one.
photo that had come out, or the clip, I couldn't even fit in the collage here, so I just threw
Yeah,
the John Bernthal one. Plus, I thought it looked really funny next to like the children films.
yeah.
Just showing the range that Disney now has for
It's
their
the
projects.
bloody Punisher logo, which interesting that they're going back to that costume because that was his costume in all of season 1 and then some of season 2.
Mm,
But his costume at the end of season 2 was like just straight up comic accurate. Like he had the big giant trench coat and everything. So I wonder if he'll have that at all in board again, or if they're just gonna go straight with this one.
yeah,
Because like the thing about Daredevil that really about Punisher that really annoyed me was like the TV show was that they ended it exactly when he got the iconic Punisher sort of look.
yeah,
It literally the final scene is him with that look, and then as soon as he's back, he's already off of that look again. Like
right,
that's unfortunate. I'm hyped though still.
yeah. I mean, we had a couple like tidbits of like info coming for
Yeah,
this new season. It was confirmed. I didn't actually watch the presentation. I'm not even sure if you were able to watch it, but
I don't
they
think
did
so.
say it's coming out this year, right? That's now confirmed.
So I'm not too sure on that because so Disney released a like well, they didn't release. Disney has their internal release date
Right.
schedule that the public doesn't really get to see, or you kind of have to go to like the specific Disney Insider websites to get it. And on that one, it still lists it as late 2024, early 2025. I'm not entirely sure if they said it during the investor meeting because I didn't listen to it. I did see somebody tweet about that, but the actual Variety article and Deadline articles that came out
Didn't say anything
um,
about it.
they said the show still has no release date, and I feel like if
Oh,
it
okay.
was confirmed, they'd have put that in there. But there was a couple other really cool things in those articles, like they talk about how it's actually not confirmed how many episodes we're getting. Like I
Hmm.
thought it was pretty much confirmed we were getting 13
13.
episodes,
Yeah.
but no, they said in it that like, well, the old show was 18 episodes. We don't know if the new show was going to be 18 episodes or not.
Mm,
Like that it might be 18 episodes, it might not be. But they also the Deadline article said something that the Variety article didn't. And the Deadline article said that it's a 2-season show. But
yeah.
they gave like no sources or anything for that. They just said it's a 2-season show and nobody knows where they got that information from. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's legitimate or not. But I mean as much as I think a Daredevil makes sense, give him a 2-season like show straight out the gate. It's kind of insane that Daredevil already has a 2-season renewal when out of the 10 MCU live action shows, only Loki's gotten 2 seasons, and Loki had to be renewed like after the
What if
first
as
season came
well?
out. Yeah, but like out of the live action ones, like
Oh,
Loki was the only one that got a
I
2-season
am
renewal.
Groot, bro. I am Groot.
What
Gotta
was well was that was live action? Like, yeah, you're right. You got me
kind
there.
of like we
You
had
got me
Rocket,
there.
right? Which is kind of,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The
But it's like Miss Marvel, Moon Knight,
right.
She-Hulk, all those came out like over a year ago, and there's no or 2 years ago. This
Yeah.
over 2 years ago, and there's no sort of like look at them getting its 2 seasons. Because for Daredevil just to straight away get 2 seasons is kind of wild.
I think it's kind of smart though. Like
Mm.
I think Daredevil might be used as like, hey, this is what we're focusing on going forward. Like I think
Sure,
this is
yeah,
going to, I want them, I think they're going to put it out, put everything they can into it, make sure it's, because I think they're going to make sure it's good this time. Like I think
yeah,
they're
yeah. I
going to
agree.
make sure this is good and say, hey, this is what we want the future of our TV spots to look at. And then once that's out, maybe they'll be like, all right, Moon Knight getting a season 2.
Yeah,
And like we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I honestly think Moon Knight might be the only show to get a season 2 out of the roster of characters. Like Miss Marvel, I'd love to get a season 2. I would love that. I don't think she is. I think they're just gonna be like Young Avengers. Hawkeye, same thing. She's just gonna be Young Avengers. Like I think all the characters that we saw are just gonna be morphed into film franchises.
sure, yeah,
Um, and just like I don't know, TV. I think TV might like I think they might stick TV any characters they're not actively using in the films.
yeah,
Which like Daredevil might be like a contradiction of that because I do think he is in Spider-Man 4, but I think for the most part, I think they just want like just TV side and movie side, which again is weird because that's what it was before Disney
yeah,
Plus happened. So
yeah. They're just
we've
doing
gone
what
out of
they've already done.
yeah.
Like Marvel have learned how to make the Marvel Netflix shows. It's like we did that 6 years ago.
Yep. We could have just saved a lot of time and
Yeah,
money. We just did
yeah.
that from the get-go. Um
But like
but no,
I'm sorry,
sorry.
Wilson.
Go ahead, it's fine.
No, I
Go.
was gonna say that that for the episode count, I like my current theory is that if it is 18 episodes, we're gonna see them. It's that it was originally one season of 18 episodes, but now
Yeah.
it's 2 seasons of 9 episodes each.
Yeah.
Because I think 13 episodes and 18 episodes, we've yet to see a Marvel Disney Plus show do any of those episode numbers.
Yeah.
Whereas we already have precedent through What If for a show doing 9 episodes. So I
Yeah.
think it's maybe likely that it's 2 seasons of 9 episodes and we get like one of those at the end of this year, early next year, the other one in 2026.
Yeah. I think nine's an okay number. Like we talk a lot about here. There's not enough episodes, but like if we do like nine, like 50 minutes, like
Yeah,
that's a good runtime. That's good.
it
That's
is. Yeah.
still way more than any of the other shows have been up until this point. I mean, I guess your WandaVision had died, but they were like 20-minute long with ads.
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with like eight is like I feel like eight is like the new normal. Like eight is what I should say is like the like bare minimum. I don't think you should go under 8 episodes normally.
Yeah, I agree.
And we've been under that for most of these. So if we do like 8 normally length episodes, I'm okay with that. I would love 13. I would love like 13 weeks straight of like Daredevil. Like I think that'd be beyond hype.
That'd be
But
insane.
obviously that might be too much to ask for.
Which it should be, considering how for years shows were doing like 20 plus episode seasons. Like we shouldn't
Yeah.
be, being like, oh, I hope it's 9 episodes because that means we get more than usual. 9 episodes
Yeah, that's
still isn't a
insane.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's I mean, there can be like a conversation about like current TV as a whole and what's happened. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I I just don't think a lot of people like TV is the thing. Like I think people want movies that they can just binge in one. Like it's very apparent to me that studios don't want to make TV shows. They want to make these one and done type projects. They like to put them out all at once and just like I miss TV.
I
I
miss TV too.
miss like I get not every show works with the 22 episode like formula, but I loved having a TV show run for like 9 months out of the year. Like there was
Yeah,
just a hype to that. There
it
is a
was. Yeah.
fun to that. There's like I love like consistency in my thing where I can expect every year I can have like nine
Yeah.
months of the year I have this show that I can enjoy. And
But I think that's
again, not
what kills it is because like when it show's running for 22 episodes a year, you don't get time to like I guess miss the show or you don't get time to like fall out of love with the show.
mm,
So
right,
whereas like with like Stranger Things, for example, that show's gone for 4 years. By the time it comes back, you're like, oh yeah. Whereas if it
right.
shows for 22 episodes, by the time it comes back, you're like, oh hell yeah, I was just about ready to start missing this show.
Right. Yeah, and like for some people, it's the opposite where like, oh, I'm tired of the show because I've had it so much or whatever, and I can
Yeah.
get that. But like for me personally, I do love it. I genuinely do love it. Um, let's just quickly talk about the like Punisher stuff. Just that he is back. Like you were
He's
saying
back.
that like this was the first time Disney officially confirmed it. Where I thought it already was. Like I thought that John had went off and said stuff like that. But like
John said in
it is
January that he didn't he was still like, I'm not sure if I'll ever be back.
just
So
playing with people.
yeah.
I mean, you're a big fan of the character, right?
Yeah,
Are you
of course.
happy that he's here, that that he has come back? Are you worried about what we're doing with him?
I mean, the storyline they're going for, like with cops using the Punisher logo and him kind of going after them for that, I think it really does depend on what they do with it. Because like something this reminds me of is when Arrow did their gun control episode. That was a very not tone deaf, but it was a very I don't want to say preachy either, but it was an episode that it felt like Arrow had no right approaching. Like
Mm,
just based off of the stories Arrow already tells, it felt like Arrow didn't really have a right to be approaching a gun control episode. I feel the
right.
same here, whereas I think the Netflix Daredevil would or the Netflix Punisher would have dealt with a storyline like this really well. I'm not convinced a
Mm,
Disney produced Marvel show can approach, the dirty cops angle with the
mm,
nuance and with the I don't know, like just I don't think it can approach it in a way that's going to do with that story what should be done.
yeah.
Like I'm worried that they won't go far enough and it'll come off as they
Mm,
shouldn't have done it at all
cheap. Yeah.
because it was cheap. They were trying to just kind of do it for a gimmick or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong on that though.
It's hard. It's it's hard to say because this is the first of its kind, really. Like Echo
Yeah.
was the TV MA, but like not really. Like it
Yeah.
was. It felt like they had added TV MA stuff in after it was done. Be like,
I agree.
oh, this is what people want. Just add it in really quick. Where this feels like, at least in the reshoots of it, that they are actively trying to make a TV MA show, and they've said it's going to be the darker version that people want. So I definitely get you as far as like, will they actually commit? Because we haven't seen it yet. And I guess Deadpool
Yeah.
3 will be kind of the first glimpse of like what they're able to do. But you're right, it is on a. But it's also so weird because Disney Plus feels so weird because the Hulu stuff just came in like officially over the last week, and it's so weird to just be scrolling in and see like Phineas and Ferb next to Family Guy. Like it's such a
Yeah.
weird like thing to view. But I think Disney's changing. I think they're realizing that their main audience are now in their 20s and 30s, and that
Sure, yeah.
like obviously have the stuff for the kids, but also sometimes your Daredevil can have blood in it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, but I mean,
That's a good point.
even X-Men has shocked me where they're actively using like blood, and they're like, a character said damn the other day, and it took me off guard. Like, holy shit, I
Oh,
can't
really?
believe
They
they're
don't
getting,
say
yeah,
damn in
yeah, they said
Disney
damn.
stuff?
They
But no,
said
no,
damn.
no, did they not say damn in Disney stuff?
Not in the original show. I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think
Wow,
so.
okay. Is damn like a bad word over there?
Yeah, yeah. Damn,
Really?
you don't typically hear that in like kid stuff, no.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's just like a whatever. Okay, that's just like a
Oh
whatever
yeah,
word over
that's like
here.
a swear word, like that gets you kicked out of school here.
Wow, okay,
Or maybe
that's
not kicked out of school,
you
but
guys
like
kicked out of school for saying damn?
you go to the principal's office if I
Jesus.
shouted out damn. That's for sure a
That's
thing.
insane. I'm sorry. That's actually that's honestly shocking me. That's just a whatever word here. Like
Oh
that's just
really?
like a general,
Oh,
vocabulary.
okay.
Like that's like I mean, I'm not gonna say it live in your stream because I know people like don't like word, but it's like the C word. It's like that's
Oh yeah.
whatever over here. People don't care about that
Yeah,
word at
that's
all over here.
crazy.
Whereas
Yeah.
like I heard in America, it's like you say that, and I was like, whoa, you can't say that
Oh,
here.
yeah, there's the Harley Quinn scene where like he says it. And it's like, oh, he's can't,
Oh
like
yeah,
they
damn,
yeah, oh
that's
yeah, that's
wild.
a big no here.
That's
That's a
wild.
big uh it's interesting. I don't know. Speaking of
Damn's
big
a bad
no-nos,
word.
according to the
Wow.
internet, we had some Madam Web stuff
Oh hell
this
yeah.
week. Concept art for Spider-Man and Madam Web has come out. Oh, Madam Web, our good old buddy. We had talked about
Good old
this.
film.
Good old Madam Web. We talked
Greatest
about
film
this.
of our time.
Totally. We had our whole discussion a couple weeks ago. That's pretty fun.
It was fun.
Okay, so we had talked about the idea that the original run of Madam Web seemed a lot different than what we got, right?
Yeah.
The term I heard early on was a Spider-Man time travel heist movie, and that sounded amazing. That sounded incredible. I love the idea that like the Madam Web crew had to go back in time and stop Ezekiel from killing a young baby Peter Parker. Like, that's an amazing concept for a movie that I would have loved to have seen. And there were rumors over the years that had said that Spider-Man will be in the movie. We've heard Andrew Garfield. We've heard all three over the years.
We have, yeah.
Which I guess we hear that for every Sony movie. Like, they're all in the movie, one after another. Thoughts on the Tom Holland Spider-Man, though? Apparently was supposed to be in Madam Web. And thoughts on all this concept art?
I mean, I think it doesn't really match up what Madam Web ultimately ended up being. Like, I can't see the current iteration of the Madam Web film really fitting or suiting any Spider-Man character unless it's like, I don't know, they come back in time or something like that. I'm not sure. But I'm surprised there's Tom Holland one here. Like, unless they were trying to tie it into Morbius or something where they got Michael Keaton's Vulture showing up at the end of that. If it's like there's some multiverse break and now Tom Holland Spider-Man's here and Vulture's here and Venom's over there, and it's like I could see this in a version where Sony were actually trying to like connect all their stuff. Like, this makes sense in that way, especially given the credit scene for No Way Home. Like, it feels like that was at a point where Sony really wanted all their stuff to tie together. Whereas now it's just kind of put out a solo film, hope it does well. It won't, but hope it does. I think, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man or something like that would really fit in here. Still miss the theories that Adam Scott was playing a version of Peter Parker who was like time displaced or something. Like a version who like found himself in the early 2000s. I think that would have been so awesome. I would have loved to have seen that version of the film. But I mean, it was never a real version, but like it was a big theory that he was playing a Spider-Man. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. It's just, I always find that like when we get concept art for these films, the concept art is always so much cooler than what the film ended up being. It's like, why didn't you just make the concept art? Why'd you have to change it and like water it down and make it boring? So.
Yeah, I mean, this just makes me want like another Spider-Man movie. Like, I and I think that's very apparent with a lot of these, where it's like, yes, we would have liked this and this and this, but ultimately, I think we all we just want more Spider-Man. Like, I feel like that kind of boils down the issue with the whole universe. It's Spider-Man characters without Spider-Man, but like, do we want Spider-Man? Like, I don't know. We don't want these movies without Spider-Man. I do agree with you. I wonder how, and again, it's hard because I think fundamentally the movie that we got is so different than the movie they pitched. Like I think it's a completely different movie. So anything could have happened to have got Tom Holland. Tom Holland would have been the one I would have expected the least to be in this movie, though.
I would have as well, for sure.
Because like Andrew, like there's been a theory for years that Andrew Garfield is just like the Sonyverse, and now we know it wasn't the Sonyverse, but I assume when it was pitched it was part of it, whatever. But like
it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And like, so Andrew made sense to me. Also, there's a lot of theories with Toby, because it's like a movie that takes place in like the 2000s.
Yeah, same.
A lot of people like, so the early things in the movie were like, does this take place in the same time that like Toby Spider-Man is active? Which would also have made a lot more sense, like timeline wise. So I wonder if that was maybe the original plan, because like I don't know how a lot of these characters exist and like Peter's still a baby. Like it would have to be like a Gotham type of situation where like this is not like a mainstream Marvel universe, because like why does Madam Web and stuff exist where Peter Parker does not, you know?
But didn't they come out and say Madam Web was not the same timeline as Morbius and
it's not, it's Elseworld Store now. But like, I wonder if it wasn't always that. Like I assume it started
I think at some point it probably was connected. But I think it's like Tom Holland is so weird because not only do you have to make him travel to a different universe, you also have to make him travel back in time. It's like that Legends of Tomorrow thing where they went to Star City 2046, but then in Crisis they retconned it so that they didn't just travel to the future, they also traveled to a different Earth.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're having him jump through so many hoops to get to Madam Web stuff, whereas if you brought Toby over, it would have just been the same time period.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Again, it's so hard because again, we don't know what this movie. We don't know what this movie is. Like it's frustrating because again, I think Madam Web is such a, on paper, was probably really, really cool.
And I thought it sounded awesome.
Yeah, it does.
Before the trailer, I thought it looked cool.
Concept was cool. Again, this concept is cool. Again, I don't know how I feel about it would have been Tom. Like I feel like there's a lot of
Yeah.
hoops and stuff. And again, maybe originally it wasn't supposed to be. No, that can't work because it was always set in like the 2000s. I guess it would have always had to be time travel. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's a Madame Web thing where she was just able to like transport him here or
Yeah.
something. Where like, get me help from like the closest Spider-Man in the multiverse, and he pops
Could
in
be
here
that,
or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
Did they confirm that this was Tom Holland's Spider-Man, or just
Yeah,
that it was like,
it's Tom. Yeah.
but like when they drew it, like, did they confirm if this
Oh,
is if this was meant to be that specific version of Spider-Man, or if they were just using Tom Holland's design as like a placeholder, or as like a
it
way
could
to
have been
say
that. Yeah,
Spider-Man's here. Like this could have been a new Spider-Man, and they just put Tom Holland's design in there as
sure.
a Spider-Man to put into the concept art. Like, did they
That
confirm if it is Tom Holland or if it's just
all of
that
the
design?
sources have said that this was Tom Holland's Spider-Man,
Okay.
but and actually let me pull up this. I'm not even sure how official this is, but this was also out there. I kind of wanted to show really quickly. Which was like a new suit he was supposed to have, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, is this
which is
from
cool.
Madame Web?
Oh, sorry,
Wow.
hold on. Yeah,
That looks
this
like an
was a
Alex Ross drawing.
yeah. Again, I'm not sure how like official that is, but I don't
Kind of
know.
looks like the PlayStation suit a little bit,
A
like
little
without the
bit,
white.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like that looks like Tom Holland's like just like figure, I guess. Like like that looks like it would fit
Sure,
like a
yeah.
Tom Holland. Um,
That
I
looks
don't
like
know.
a really interesting design for the character.
It does.
Like that looks so different to I think any of the live action Spider-Man suits we've seen.
Hmm. I
That's
would
really
have loved
cool.
a suit like this.
Yeah, same. 'Cause I like the
And
like
like,
the black like outline around the spider. Like that looks
mhm,
cool.
that does look cool. Yeah, but I guess we'll never know. I'm kind of hoping we close the door on this universe, though.
Yeah.
I'm a
After
bit
the animated series.
exhausted and trying to make it work. It's it's just not working out. I don't think.
I think this is just Sony's still trying to keep the IPs. It's like
Yeah,
they had a baby Peter Parker in Madam Web, so technically they still get to keep the rights to Spider-Man for the next 5 years. Like, does it work like that?
I don't
Because
know.
I know like they have to make these movies every so often, or they lose the rights to certain characters.
I don't
So
know if it's legal. I just wish we could. I would be down for 2 sets of Spider-Man movies. Like I know that might be
yeah,
confusing for people. I don't know if you're legally allowed, but I would love if they're just like, hey, Tom's in the main timeline, and then we
yeah,
go over to these Elseworld stories with Andrew and with Toby. I think Andrew would do it 100%. I'm not sure if Toby would do a whole new set of
yeah. I
movies or
think Toby's
anything.
probably like done,
Right.
or like
But
in a main role anyway.
or even like animated Spider-Man, like do like an animated Toby film where he'd like voiceovers the characters. Like I'd be
Yeah,
down for that. And I
I
think
mean we're
how
already
you
getting
ended,
animated Spider-Man on Disney.
yeah. And I think with like how you ended your like no way home, it's easy to just like start the movie with them going back home. So it's not like,
Yeah,
but what's the main Spider-Man? So actively show it's an Elseworld story taking place
yeah.
in another universe. Again, I don't know if they're legally allowed, like how if you're only allowed one at a time. I'm not sure how that works, but I don't know. It's frustrating.
It
Daniel
is.
talks a little bit in the chat really quick. The Invincible finale is out. We'll be watching later. Have you seen it yet?
No, I have not. I need to watch that, and I need to watch the new episode of Star Trek Discovery. So I'll be doing
I
that after this.
I am excited. I'll be doing that after work. I'm very excited. I've loved this season. I've really enjoyed Invincible this season.
I'm up for the final.
And I've heard it's a good final, so that makes me happy. I was a bit worried that they wouldn't stick the landing, and it seems like
Sure,
they
yeah.
have. Daniel also said, "Oh, guys, it's officially April 2024.
It
So on
sure is.
April 25th, it will be the original date of The Flash missing vanishes in Crisis." You are so right. Maybe I already put out the thing for April, but like maybe we'll do a Flash video or episode later in the month. That could be kind of fun.
Sure, yeah. What date is the 25th? Or like what day?
Um,
Thursday. It is a Thursday.
Oh, okay. So now we have to do it. Now we have to
Yeah.
do
I mean,
something.
wasn't it an Arrow when you were planning? We could
I
like
was
merge them,
planning, yeah. So maybe we'll
like an
just switch to
Arrowverse in general.
Flash.
Or yeah, we could just do Flash either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Flash or Arrowverse. Yeah, we'll have to do something, man. We'll have to do something.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about doing something, Netflix be doing something with the Dead
Oh,
Boy
damn, yeah.
Detectives as a first trailer dropped this week.
That's out April 25th as well.
Oh yeah, that is true. What
Okay.
late marketing? They were like,
It's
oh, it comes
really
out in
late,
like
yeah.
2 weeks. Let's give these guys a
It's like
trailer.
watch it or don't. I don't care. That was just what Netflix was like. But, okay.
What a weird history the show has had. Like
Yeah.
what a weird journey it's been, because it started out almost 4 years ago at this point, where they had a backdoor pilot over on Doom Patrol, set to be a Doom Patrol spinoff, and then very Titans fashion that they further then went, you liked that episode, I'm glad you liked it, we're not doing any of that, and it's gonna recast whole new people. And then when the DC universe shut down, when Max kind of shut down, when a lot of these, or not Max, but like the HBO Max shut down, and a lot of these things were happening over at DC, it then went from Max over to Netflix. And then from there, they were like, it's not only just on Netflix, it's connected to our Sandman cinematic universe. Like, what a journey this has been. Are you excited for this? What's your thoughts on all that?
Not really excited. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. Like, it's DC, I feel like I have to. But
Right.
I don't know, it's just the constant confusion and changing of what it is and what it wasn't kind of made me lose interest, which I really like the Sandman. So, you know, I'm hyped for season 2 of that. But I don't think tying this into the Sandman has really made me more or less excited for it.
Mm.
It's like, I mean, I kind of would liked Sandman just being sort of its own standalone thing, but I guess you're gonna tie anything. I mean, you're gonna tie anything in. Dead Boy Detectives is a weird one to tie in, but
Yeah.
it just mainly off the fact that it used to be tied to Doom Patrol. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely like a weird. I think the main stuff I remember hearing about it was during one of the Talkville podcasts. I
Oh.
forget who it was. Some of the one of the main guys involved in Smallville was the showrunner for the original version of Dead Boy Detectives.
Mm.
And so they like called them in, and I can't believe I forgot the name, because it's somebody really big in Smallville's history. But like, I remember when they called him in, and his background was filled with like storyboards and like stuff from Dead Boy Detectives, and he had to really quickly like cover them up, because he's like, ooh, that might be spoilers. And
Right.
then Mike Roseman was like, yeah, you cover that up. But that's like, that was like the main thing I remember from hearing from the show.
Right.
And then I think all that changed. I don't know if that person was even involved in what the version of the show eventually became.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll watch it for sure. Whether it's the reviews are good or whether the reviews are bad, I'll watch it. It's like Netflix just seems to be the home for the weirder DC properties. Like, you get like Sweet Tooth, you get this, you get Sandman. Like, it's interesting.
Lucifer, yeah.
Yeah, Lucifer as well. Yeah.
It's weird. I haven't finished Sandman. I'm so bad. I've like started it so many times. I've seen like the first 3, and I just haven't got back into it. Not because it's bad. It really wasn't bad. I loved what I saw.
Sure. Yeah.
I just hadn't. It just wasn't happening. I think it's kind of interesting. We have like another and maybe it's just because we've had so many DC universes shut down, so there's a little bit of an interest of just like, well, there's another one over there. Like, maybe they're. But also, I don't get the vibe from this that like we're going to get like a crossover. Like, I don't get the vibe that like Sandman's going to hop in on the like.
Well,
I
one
don't
character
get
from
that
Sandman
vibe.
is in it. There's I think
Who's there?
Death from Sandman is in this.
Oh, that's kind of interesting though. Oh, so
Yeah.
I had to get caught up on Sandman quick then. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
We'll see.
I do that all the time. I was like, I'm gonna get caught up. I never do.
Yeah.
I never do.
I did that with X-Men. I was like, I'll get caught up before the show comes out. Don't worry. Here we are 4 weeks in.
I think. I mean, it was I think the trailer was a lot though. Like the trailer, like, you know what the vibe it gave me? It gave me like Legends of Tomorrow, but like specifically the mid-season 3 of Legends, where Constantine was involved. So it's very wacky and goofy, but also very dark. Like, they have that like seances and super very out there. And like, I'm watching the trailer. I also had like a headache while I'm watching it. I'm just like, what am I watching right now? Like, there's a lot happening with my eyes. And like, I think the Boys kind of was a similar thing, where those trailers were just like a lot. Like, they were
those
just
trailers are
throwing up.
hectic.
Yeah, there's like a lot. So maybe once it's actually like, maybe it's just the marketing, maybe it's the pacing. Like, the trailer didn't do a lot for me, but I'm also just fascinated to kind of see what they do with the show, kind of where they go with it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it's getting a season 2, or do you think this is going to be a one and done?
I think it just depends. Like, Netflix shows are so weird because there's no way of knowing until they're out. Like, there's no way of like, probably not though, because I feel like they're not marketing it well. They're not they're not pushing it. I feel like most people won't even know it exists, and I think that's sad because I do think the concept feels exactly what Netflix shows, like exactly what those concepts are. Like, I don't know, it feels like just as a show, it's great. Like, oh, these are guys that can talk to the dead, and like they can, like, and the dead can help them solve crimes. Like that's a
Yeah.
great concept for a show.
It is
That's an
cool, yeah,
amazing
it's really
concept.
cool.
Yeah. So but again, in Netflix, it's hard to tell because like with those type of shows, you won't hear about shows and it'll come out, and then it's the biggest show in the world, and it's like, when did this come out? I hadn't even heard of it, and now it's like the most streamed show ever. Like it's so weird like that. Like the Umbrella Academy, I heard nothing about that prior until it coming out, and then it was the biggest show ever. So we'll see.
Sure, yeah.
I even Sandman though, because like I kind of thought Sandman wasn't going to make it at first. Like it was very popular, but it was also very expensive. So maybe since it's tied to the Sandman world,
They
maybe
took
it
a while
might.
for it. They took a long
Yeah,
time for it. I
I
I think that might have been to do with the DC stuff though, the DC
mm,
Warner Bros. Problems, which is why I'm not convinced that viewers will have anything to do with Dead Boy Detectives, because I think, I think changing it from being tied to Doom Patrol might have been an attempt to save it, because if they tied it to Doom Patrol completely, they were like, "Well, we killed
yeah
off all those stuff, so, we're getting rid of Dead Boy Detectives." But,
yeah
like, Sweet Tooth ended, or
yeah.
is it ending? It
It's
was
getting
season
a
2
third
final?
season. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
it's getting
but
a third season.
the
Yeah,
end one though.
which I was
Okay,
shocked
that's
about
about
because
it.
I heard no
Yeah,
one talk about season two. I loved
same.
season two, but I was like the only one I felt like was watching that
Yeah.
show. But yeah, we'll see. I again, like, I wonder if they got like because a lot of their current shows are ending, so maybe this is their plan to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
make a new little universe over there. So maybe we'll see.
So that'd be annoying if they got to do that while we couldn't get, like, Arrowverse continuations and stuff. But
Give
hey,
us
look, that's just
Legends
me.
on Netflix.
That's just
That
me.
was an era where everyone's like, "Bring
Yeah.
Legends to Netflix." Bring, and there's a part of me, my brain is like, maybe. Actually, I think like Legend on like the Netflix would do very well. Like
Yeah.
that's such a Netflix show. I feel.
I think so as well.
Um, just kind of like final thoughts here. I will say the trailer did feel like it fit in with Doom Patrol. Like it feels like it would
Yeah.
exist in the same world that like the Doom Patrol would live in. So,
I'm nervous that it's gonna feel like a mishmash of different tones, that it's
mm,
gonna feel like it's still keeping the goofy feel from when it was a Doom Patrol tie-in, while also
yeah,
trying to be the more
the
serious thing
Sandman.
that Sandman
Yeah.
was, and it's maybe not going to do either very well, and feel
Mhm.
like it sort of falls in the middle, which I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, that's fair. Again, like it feels like that Legend season three, where it does feel
Yeah.
goofy, and then also like people are dying, and
Everyone's dead, and Constantine's dying, and now Kid Flash is here.
all right, final thing here. We had, which again, like this was a long time coming. We had a new piece
Oh,
of
yeah, we did have that.
Spider-Verse content over the last week. The Spider Within short film finally released this week. We've been waiting, man. We've been waiting
Yeah,
for
they
a
should have
minute.
released this a while ago. Like, what? This is, like, almost a full year since they first showed it.
Yeah.
And we only got it like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. Like, that's wild.
I've heard it was a rights issue where like they weren't sure exactly where they were allowed to put it, which
Okay,
I would have thought
interesting.
like Amazon was where I would have thought because that's where most of the Sony stuff is going.
You
But
know, that makes sense because on the YouTube, um, the Sony channels it's on, it comes up as being a fundraiser video. So the probably thing is that they could only
uh,
release it if they don't monetize it.
that's
Which
so weird.
but that could mean like they couldn't put it on Amazon because you pay to watch things on
Right?
Amazon. So like that technically they'd be making money from it. But if it's a fundraiser, maybe it's for a charity or something like that.
Yeah, that's it's weird how the Spider Verse stuff, just Spider Man in general with Sony works. Like
Yeah,
I don't know how their rights work, but like it seems like they're always struggling to keep
it does.
it's weird. Um, but I don't know, man. I loved getting, even though it was so short, I loved kind of
It
getting
was
to
like what,
dive
8
into the
minutes?
world again. Like it felt so good to
Yeah.
just like 7 minutes of it. Like it's not much, and like how they make us fall into this world is so cool, man. Like 7 minutes in, and I'm just into the story, and then it ends. I was like, no, no, I just started. No, like
It's
I'm
like bring
just
me
so
back.
invested in it.
Yeah.
But like, what was your thoughts on it? Did you
No,
did
yeah, I
you
liked it.
like this?
I mean, I didn't have too many thoughts on it, but I thought
Sure.
it was solid. Like it was a nice little kind of revisited Spider Verse stuff. I liked that it
Mhm.
focused on Miles and like real sort of mental
Right.
health issues that people are facing, like with panic attacks and anxiety and stuff like that. Like that was really really cool and really well done. And like sleep paralysis and stuff like that as well, kind of playing into it, which is really
Yeah.
cool. Um, I just yeah, it was just really well animated. Like for it being a short film released on YouTube that's only
Right.
7 minutes long, it still felt like it had the animation quality and the production quality and even the music quality
The
that
movie.
the
Yeah.
the the that the Spider-Verse movies have had. So like
Right.
it felt like it really could have been a deleted scene from Across the Spider-Verse or something like that, which I thought was really cool. Like, it didn't feel like it was this side short film thing. It felt like it was
No,
as tied to the films as you could have it be, which was cool.
I agree. And it felt like it felt like a really good prologue to the second movie.
Yeah,
Like, it does, like they've said, it takes in between the first and the second, and it really does feel like that. Like, you're
yeah,
seeing all these seeds being planted about like how he's struggling to talk to his parents, the struggle of just trying to be Spider-Man. You have that montage in the second movie where he's getting all these sponsors and he's trying to do this and that, how he can't talk to his parents. And I thought it was I loved the I like superhero stories that can show the like stress and
yeah.
toll that brings being a superhero.
I completely agree.
And like also the idea that like Miles is also just a child. Like it's hard to like forget that with some of these superhero stories like Peter Parker and stuff like that. But like Peter Parker and Miles, like they are teenagers. They're
Yeah,
going to high school and they have to lie to their parents. They got to do all these different things, and that is hard. And we actively get to see the struggle and the toll it takes on them. Um, and I really like the scene at the end where like he goes on a walk with his dad and he's like
yeah, that was really
he
nice.
has all this stuff he needs to tell him and it would really help him if he could talk to him about it, but he can't. So he's just like, so girls and school and stuff, I get like he can't, but there's that moment of this getting to talk with his dad and getting to have that one-on-one moment. I thought was very sweet.
Yeah, yeah, like
Uh,
it's a scene that I feel like shouldn't have been in either of the movies because
right.
it feels
It
like
wouldn't fit.
it would have slowed down, it would have taken the pacing out, it would have been like a complete huge left turn to what those films are trying to deal with. But as a standalone piece, I think it does do a really good job of kind of digging into Miles as a character.
I agree. And also I think it will add a lot. Maybe not add a lot, but it's kind of nice kind of where we leave the film where like we don't know if he's going to live or
Yeah,
die. So I think kind of strengthening their bond. Obviously they have such a strong bond. Obviously like that's the status quo is like eventually Jefferson's going to have to die,
yeah,
but
that's a
like
canon event.
showing how close they are. Ah, it's great. And all the food he got, man, that seemed like such a fun time. Got all the
It
food
is,
and
yeah.
popcorn and movie night. That's so much
That's a
fun.
peak night right there.
I know. And he's like, I'm just going to go to bed. I was like, no, no,
Yeah.
you hang out with your dad. That looks so fun.
Like, you do not go to bed. You watch movies. No, yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
no. It's fun stuff. But it's so weird how long it took. Like, we were talking about it when the film first came out. Like,
Yeah.
me and Taz talked, like, like June, I think, was when
Yeah,
we
I
first
think
talked
it
about it.
it first was shown, like, a day after the film came out or something like that.
Yeah, we're like, oh, it might come out in a couple weeks. We'll just have to wait and it did not come out in a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
It was like,
And the
"Here we
second,
are."
the third one was supposed to come out like last week,
Yeah.
which is insane. So
I don't know what they were thinking, like, given that as a release date, like, that was
that's
never
a
gonna
bad release
happen.
date.
That was
Yeah,
never gonna happen.
this is such a bad time for a
Yeah,
Spider-Man movie. I feel like this isn't the
for sure.
vibe of a year for Spider-Man. I don't know, like
Next
I
year's
think,
Superman's year, Spider-Man could wait till the following year.
yeah,
That's what I think.
I feel well, yeah. I guess you'd be right, but no, I, I don't know because like I feel like you at least need a year out for these type of movies
Yeah.
because I feel like people are still talking about the second one. People are actively still
Oh,
like
yeah, I mean, I
talking
rewatched
about how
Fear
good
Night
it
because
is.
it's so good. It's, like,
Yeah,
genuinely one of the best films I've ever seen. Like, Spider-Verse is one of the few films I would call a masterpiece, like, Across the Spider-Verse. I think
yeah.
it's
I'd say both
fantastic.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think you should have at least gave it a year in between. So like June of 24, I think could have been
yeah.
okay. But like I'm fine waiting. I still like a lot of people are like it's gonna be in your 25, and I'm like I'm thinking more 26.
No,
Like
I'm thinking
I
26 as well.
yeah I'm thinking summer of 26, which like sucks, but obviously I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay waiting as long as it's the best possible movie they can make.
Yeah.
Again, with these, that's the most important thing at this moment, I think.
I know, like, 2 obviously Across the Spider-Verse had to deal with a lot of, the strike issues, but or not strike issues, sorry, the COVID issues. Strike
Right.
was kind of, like, after the film came out. But, I think, like, didn't they say at one point that the the train scene going up in particular took them, like, 4 or 5 months to animate? Like,
Yeah.
just that scene? So, like, you've gotta assume Beyond the Spider-Verse is gonna have scenes that are just as big, if not bigger than that, considering the
Yeah.
scale of the film and considering it's the final film in the trilogy. I think, like, 2026 is realistic. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think there's any way they get so because I think they said they haven't properly started animating yet because they haven't done voice work or anything like that yet. So it would be insane for them to try and get, a film on the scale of Across the Spider-Verse out by this time next year. It would be so rushed.
Yeah. And we wouldn't want them to, like, we had heard a lot about how, like, the animators and stuff were overworked and not treated well, and, like, that would have just doubled down if they're like, hey, like, 7 months, this thing has to be done. Do it. Like, no. Like, let them, obviously, these are some of the most talented people in Hollywood right now working on these, like, projects. Like, just give them the time it's needed.
Yeah.
And I guarantee we will all be here waiting for when it comes out. This is a movie that I think no matter how long it takes, if it takes 5 or so years, I think we'll be there for when it comes out. It's Spider-Man. The 2 original ones were some of the greatest films of all time. We'll be here however long it takes. So just focus on what you're doing.
Just make it good. Just give it time. Make sure people have good working conditions.
Yes, fully. And it'll be a great trilogy. It'll be the greatest trilogy of all time, I think. I think it's coming. But yeah, let's jump into our an hour 30 in. Let's jump into our
real quick. Do you want to talk about the Superman thing real quick?
You can if you want.
Just did you look into it at all?
I saw Ultraman spoilers, potential spoilers, leaks,
that's wild.
Rumors.
Because they've said Ultraman was like, well, they said James Gunn said like the villain they were going to do was going to be a villain that had not been in a Superman film before, I think. So like, but people speculate Brainiac for ages, and like even the leakers were saying Brainiac, and then like that switched to Bizarro, and Bizarro's he's obviously been in Superman Lois a lot, Smallville a lot, technically wasn't Superman 3 as the villain, so I don't know if that really counts there, but it's like it makes sense because they had the table read, and the table read they said that anybody who's got a major role in the film is at that table read. And nobody who wasn't announced was at that table read. So everybody started then switching to being like, David Cornsworth could be playing the villain, which Ultraman is cool because he's been in Smallville a little bit, but he's never really been in, a live action Superman property fully done outside of the animated stuff. And I think that would be insane to be your first villain. I really want to see, like the iconic, well, it's not iconic, but like the big Superman suit with the U on it instead of the S for Ultraman. That'd be really cool to see. But I think, I don't know, man. Going with an evil Superman.
First movie,
like that was, just to me personally, it feels like the DCU is doing so many things the DCEU is getting complained about, which is starting with your weird projects. Like the DCEU started with Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Suicide Squad. The DCU starting with Creature Commandos, Superman, and Peacemaker Season 2. And if you've got an evil Superman, that's the same thing as the DCEU is complaining about Batman v Superman, where it's like you're making Superman evil already or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I think
the issue with I think the difference with that though is like it's not the main Superman. Like
yeah, that's true.
That's kind of like, I'll be honest, I don't need to see another evil Superman. Like it's been done a lot. So like just hearing that doesn't make me be like, yay, you know what I mean? It makes sense though, kind of like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, where we're like, well, maybe Lex Luthor is the villain, but he creates something to take out Superman. So Lex is the villain, but there's another threat he has to face. Ultraman would fit into that, of just like Lex making something that has
I don't
to
know.
do with him.
I don't know if I'd like them using Ultraman in that capacity. I think if you're doing Ultraman, it needs to be full on like Crime Syndicate of America, Earth 3, Superman. Like I think if you're having Lex create an evil Superman, just have it be a new character. I wouldn't put Ultraman in that, because I think with Ultraman,
Zorro,
with Ultraman, it's such an interesting character to tie in with a full-on evil Justice League, which we haven't seen that done in any live-action capacity, like a full-on evil Justice League.
If they full-on go that way, I can't see them doing that. I don't feel like, maybe. I mean, and we've even, like, you weren't here when we talked about the like Teen Titans stuff, but like we were wondering, like, is the Justice League already formed by this point? Like maybe there's actively already one, because I feel like
there is. Yeah, I don't think Superman's in it, but I think there is.
That could be it too. Yeah,
like if you've got like Guy Gardner and like stuff like that, like that's very much like the 1990s sort of Justice League International, like Justice League lineup that Superman wasn't part of.
Like maybe there's an old Justice League and we're creating the new one. Type of thing.
I think so.
But like, I don't know. I think that'd be tough to pull off. Not that I doubt James Gunn in this, because I I feel like, and again, these are leaks and stuff like that, or rumors and leaks, so we
Yeah.
can't base too much on this right
He hasn't
now.
debunked it though, and he debunks
No.
everything.
Yeah, I think he's learning a little bit though. Like I think he's
Yeah.
learning more like if I debunk everything, then they'll know what's real and not real. So
Yeah.
I think he's learned a little bit. But
I hope so.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not against it, I guess, but we'll see. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
again, it would make sense as far as what you said. Like everyone in the room is the cast, and it's like, well, David's in the cast, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a weird first movie villain. I think
It is really weird. I don't think I
like
like it as the first movie villain.
like that feels like in my mind where like you do the first villain, it's somewhere kind of small. It's like a Lobo or like a Toy Man or something.
Yeah.
Then you do like a Bizarro, and then for movie 3 you can do like a Brainiac or whatever. Like that feels like how I would probably do it, but we gotta
I
wait
mean,
and see.
I completely agree. Like, I think as cool as Brainiac would have been to see, I don't think he fits really too much into it either. Because like Brainiac's kind of
Yeah,
character that he feels like a Galactus style character, I guess, where it's like he's really hard to stop. Like he shows
yeah.
up, he's
He's
getting those
Justice League, I
cities.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like he's putting those cities in balls. Like he's getting them. So I think you bring him in. It's something that you tease a lot. You maybe have him have a full on um interaction with Superman. Maybe they fight at some point, but it's clear Superman can't beat him, which leads
yeah.
to a whole Justice League thing.
It wouldn't be a first movie thing, but like I'd
Yeah,
be down if like movie 2 bring him in, Superman lose, like he loses, he almost dies, and then what forms the Justice League. They're like,
that'd be really
oh,
cool.
this guy Superman's too strong, like he's too strong for Superman. We got to create a team to put him together or whatever.
Yeah,
Like I think that could be kind of fun,
yeah,
but
that'd
not
be really
movie
cool.
1. Brainiac is just not a movie 1 type villain. I don't
Completely
think.
agree.
Alrighty, so we're gonna be jumping into some phase 1 and phase 2 post credit scenes. And as I was going into this, like I didn't realize how like I guess kind of small some of these post credit scenes were. Like
Yeah,
there were some like
they're like
I was kind of
10,
shocked.
15 seconds sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thor hammer one, that was really small. It's like a shot of Thor's hammer and then just like Coulson going like making a phone call, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. So we're gonna go through these. Some of them we might not take long. Some of them are like even the same. Like there's some things where it's like, oh yeah, this is just setting up the same thing that the last one was setting up. So some
Yeah,
of these we'll go through. Some of these we won't. This one though, this is I would argue still to this day probably the most iconic post credit scene.
I
One of the
agree.
most important post credit scene. That's Phil Coulson being like, "Hey, I have this idea. Like I have this team. I have this initiative. What you think about it?" I didn't watch this live, like, or I didn't watch this like as it came out or anything. So like, I had seen Avengers by the time I saw this scene. But like, what's your
Sure.
opinion on this scene?
Um, for me, yeah, I saw Phase 1 of the MCU way out of order. I think Avengers was the first kind of film I saw, like as it came out. But I watched first Avenger, Thor 1, and Iron Man 1 before seeing the Avengers. But I'd like they were way out of order. But like I think it is a great scene. Like it's iconic. It The entirety of the MCU is built on this exact scene. And I think it's cool just because like this is something that I see a lot of people sort of um I guess not make fun of, but homage today where like you've got a character coming in and he's like, I'm putting together a team. You in?
Right.
And it's like it all leads back to, Nick Fury being like, I've got an Avengers initiative. Um but yeah, no, it's just it's iconic, it's great.
Yes.
I I constantly was like I remember at one point I got really interested in what was the situation like in film back then when this came out? Like, did people know
Mhm.
there was going to be a cinematic universe or whatever?
Right.
And I think, from what I understood, is people didn't know there was a credit scene, but that everybody knew that a Thor movie coming out was going to tie in to whatever this
Mm.
was, and like they knew that there was a Captain America film coming pretty soon that was also going to tie in. So they knew Avengers was happening. They just didn't know like to the extent or like what that would mean. So the
Yeah.
scene was a surprise, but the context of the scene wasn't. I might be wrong on that, but that's what I remember hearing about it. But it's a great scene.
I agree. It's one of just those like most like quotable moments, and I
Yeah,
think it like I think phase 1 kind of ties this stuff together very well, and we're gonna kind of get into that as we kind of go into these. But like, I think starting with this and then ending with like your Avengers, where it's like we start with the Avengers, we kind of end it with the Avengers. Like his whole thing was like, I've had an idea, like I have an idea
yeah,
type of thing, and Coulson dying for the team. Like, I think it just ties together. Like, phase 1, I feel like it's the most, like, what's a word? Like, fulfilling phase out of all of them. That
I think
feels
so as
like
well.
a chapter where, like,
It
this
does,
feels
yeah.
where, like, phase 2 it ends where you're still building towards stuff. Phase 3 feels like a concluded chapter, but there's still so many storylines that they're still up in the air and left open. Or phase 1, it's just like Avengers, they put them all together, it's over. Next to
Yeah.
on to the next thing.
Feels like it wraps itself up pretty well.
Yes, I agree. Which I don't know if we'll ever see again due to the sheer size of the
scale,
MCU.
yeah.
Yeah. There's too
I
much.
completely agree.
Which is okay. I don't think it's bad to leave stuff open for the next saga. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just something I noticed when
Yeah.
looking at a lot of these projects. We have the Incredible Hulk, which
Was that a credit scene? Because
is it not?
I think that's the last scene of the film. I don't think
Oh, is
Incredible
it?
Hulk has a credit scene. Because I
Okay.
did think that for a while, and then at one point I remember I said it was a credit scene, and somebody corrected me, and I was like, "No way!" And then I looked it up,
It's not
and I
actually
was like,
one? Okay.
"Let me double check though. I might be wrong on that. I don't want to be like spreading misinformation." Oh, this one here
It
says
came
it's
up
credit scene.
on the I used the wiki to grab all these photos, and it was one of them that came up. So
Okay, yeah. It says here the Incredible Hulk does not include a proper post-credit scene. However, its final scene in which Tony Stark approaches Thaddeus Ross in a bar is often treated as one. So yeah,
well,
I
get
mean it's
out of
treated
here.
as
I
one.
was kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can we'll use this one.
it's fine. No, I mean I like this scene enough. I think
Yeah,
it's starting to, and these came out the same year, right?
they did. Yeah, 2008.
That was probably pretty hype back then, just to kind of see like a
It was only like
connection.
2 months apart, I think, or like a month
Did
apart.
they know it was part of the same world when the movie first came out, or was it like a oh type of thing? Like, did
I'm
we
not sure
know?
on that. I think it might have been a surprise though, because Incredible Hulk being Universal and
Okay, yeah,
Iron Man
that's
being
right.
Paramount, that like I mean, you wouldn't expect going into these two films a month apart from each other, thinking they
Oh,
were
a
going to
month
be
apart,
connected.
crazy.
Yeah, like let me tell you, I think it's like Iron Man was May and Incredible Hulk was June or July.
That's kind of hype.
It is,
That's kind
yeah.
of really cool having an Iron Man and a Hulk movie in the same year.
Iron Man was
Like,
May 2nd, and then
I bet there's definitely theories back then about like, oh, maybe it's
yeah,
part of the same world or whatever. But like, that seems
yeah,
really
June,
cool.
May and June.
Wow,
Yeah,
what a fun time to be a fan. That's cool.
genuinely, especially when you weren't used to getting this stuff. Like
Right,
that must have been so mind blowing.
cool stuff. But no, I think it's nice, kind of like setting up this larger world very slowly in ways that, like, again, since the MCU is so big, like this kind of stuff isn't really surprising because it's kind of just the status quo. Like, yeah, the end of the movie is gonna set up this next movie, and like,
Yeah,
what Hulk showing up at the end of like Shang-Chi isn't
yeah,
surprising. It's just, oh, Avengers showed up to set up the next thing. Let's whatever, right?
yeah.
So I like it. It's cool.
I like
I
it
have
too. I
nothing
think
else to say.
I think it's just it's a cool way to like tie these two characters together. I like how Robert Downey Jr. plays this scene off. Like the way he comes in and like, I love how like at first they kind of tease that he's looking for Blonsky and not Banner kind of thing. He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you think we could bring Emil Blonsky onto the team as Abomination?" Like that's cool. It's also just I wish we got more of Thaddeus Ross because like we saw him in Infinity War, Endgame, both very briefly, and we saw him in Civil War a bit. And we
yeah,
saw him here. I think having him as a full-on character for a while. I know we're getting him as Harrison Ford in Captain
yeah.
America 4, but I think having like this version of Blunt of Thaddeus Ross like present in the films a bit more would have been really cool.
It would have, and that seems like something that like they're trying to correct, like they're
Yeah,
trying to actively fix. And I think the MC does that very well. Where like, oh, these characters that we didn't use too much in the first three phases, we're gonna try and bring them back. Like
yeah,
the Abomination came back, and you can argue if you liked that role for him or not. Like that's a completely other conversation. But I don't know. I'm excited to get like and the Harrison Ford casting. I'm so excited because
it's an
that
interesting
press tour
casting.
is gonna be so much fun. That press tour is gonna be so funny.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
He's gonna be constantly asked like, "What do you think about Red Hulk?" or "What do you think about this superhero?" And he's
Eh.
like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's just gonna like not care at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, no, it's so clear to me that he's just in it to just kind of click something off of his like bucket list. I think
Yeah,
just like a superhero movie, sure, that give me a bunch of
like
money
Disney's
for a little
calling
work.
again.
Yep.
I better
Ah,
pick up the phone.
so funny. Iron Man 2. I love this post credit scene a lot. It's so simple.
It is, yeah,
It's so sweet, but it's so effective.
It
Like
is.
if I saw this for the first time, never having Thor in a movie, this is like a screaming theater reaction. Like if it happened now, where everyone knew about Thor, if it happened now, this would be like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I also love Coulson's in it. I think it's the only post credit scene here with Coulson. I just love OG Coulson.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, because then he died in Avengers and then didn't show up again to Captain Marvel. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
Done,
R.I.P.
done scheme.
to the hero. Also, side note, the Iron Man 2 font and color looks the exact same as the 1989 Batman font and color. And I never noticed that before.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I really like the scene.
yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a perfect setup. And again,
Yeah.
just like Iron Man 2, nothing to do with Thor whatsoever. I mean, Iron Man 2 does do a lot for like setting up. Like it feels like
It does, yeah.
an Avengers pregame, right? Where you're
Absolutely, yeah.
putting all
I mean,
the
I like it though. I like the film a lot.
I love this is one of the weirdest like MCU movies because I think it
It
has
is, yeah.
amazing scenes.
It
Like
does.
I can pick out and I can love every scene in the movie. Like this is really cool, and then you put it together. It's like that's a bit of a mess, but it's still pretty
It
fun.
is, yeah. I think like it's this film is exactly what I feel like the DCEU or something like that is trying to be. You know, where it's like a
Mm,
film that is trying to scramble all these pieces together quickly
yeah.
to rush to a setup that they haven't earned yet. Iron Man 2 kind of feels like that, but because the other films in Phase 1 work so well, it sort of justifies it.
hmm
I just love what they do
I
with Tony Stark in this film. I think like the character work is great.
yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel the same about Iron Man 3. Like, there's moments I love from that
Sure,
movie, but
yeah,
just like not the whole film.
that's valid.
But yeah, cool post credit scene. We had Thor.
I love this one so much. This credit
Yeah,
scene. Yeah,
this one's
I'm a big
kind
fan of
of
this one.
similar to the first one, where we're kind of building up to like the
Yeah.
Avengers, but I feel like it gives us a bit more. There's a bit more time to shine here. Hello.
Oh, my thing got out for a
Oh,
sec. No, it's just no, yeah, I think it's like it's really good. I just like how like Tom Hiddleston kind of looks at the the camera like almost at the very end of it, and he's like, I guess that's worth a look. And then Selvig's like, I guess that's worth a look. It's just it's just it's handled really well. It's got this like serious sort of unsettling tone to it, because obviously we don't know what Loki's doing yet. Like we don't
yeah,
find out till Avengers. But considering the context that he's controlling people in Avengers, this has got such an unsettling vibe that you're
right.
like, this is almost depressing. I don't know.
It's kind of crazy also that like in the same movie where he's like taken down, we're setting him back up to be the villain again, which
Yeah,
was always one of the more interesting things about like the first Avengers movie where it's
sure,
like
yeah.
he was the villain twice in the same saga. Like a lot of movies are afraid to do that now, I think. Outside of like
Yeah.
Thanos, like they never really did that again, which I don't know, I kind of like it. Is he still alive? Is what's his face still
Selvig.
around? Yeah, is he still alive?
Yeah, he was mentioned in Love and Thunder.
Oh, was he?
And
Okay.
yeah, and
It'd be cool to see
it,
him again.
the last time we saw him was Age of Ultron, I think. Right?
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds
It was
right.
like he showed up like when Thor was kind of when everybody got defeated from Ultron and they had their like their mind kind of messed with, I think he went to Selvig. Um, but yeah, I think he was mentioned in Infinity War. I think he might have came up on the list of people who were snapped in Endgame, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I think he was mentioned in Love and Thunder. I think that's the last time
That'd be cool to see in like
we've
a
heard him.
project, like even like a Disney Plus show as a cameo or something,
Yeah,
or like they throw him inside there as like oh yeah, he's back. Like Darcy came back, and so did Jane. So it'd be
yeah.
cool to throw him in a project at some point.
Okay, he was in Love and Thunder because I was
Oh,
thinking for
was
a
he?
sec. Yeah, I was thinking for a second. I was like, you know what? Now that I think about it, I
Oh
vaguely
yeah, he
remember a
was in the
scene in Love and
beginning, right?
Thunder.
He was talking with
Yeah, the very
Jane.
beginning. Yeah, okay,
Okay, it'd be still cool to see him again though. Like throw him in like a even cool if like throw him in like a Shield type of project, like
that'd be cool.
with all the scientists and stuff like that. I'd be down.
Maybe some kind of Agents of Shield revival. Who
Whoa,
knows?
really? What a
Maybe
concept!
that'll happen. Oh no, you
Wow.
skipping over the Avengers trailer, the end of Captain America, the first Avenger.
Oh, did I forget one? Did I
Well, I don't know if it really counts, but the credit scene for Captain America: The First Avenger was the
Nope,
trailer
I skipped
for.
it. I completely skipped Captain America. I'm sorry.
No, but I mean, it doesn't even really count because it's just a trailer. It's just the first trailer for Avengers 1, but it's
Oh,
still a
okay.
really cool trailer. Like, it's a trailer I don't think they released properly. Um,
I
and
didn't even know it was in there.
it's got Nine Inch Nails playing over it. It's a really good trailer. I
So
like it
it's
a lot.
kind of like what Doctor Strange did with the
Kind of,
Spider-Man.
yeah. Where
People
it's
were
like, yeah,
pissed
where
about that.
it starts with kind of it starts with the Steve Nick scene where Steve is like punching the big, I don't know, punching bag in the gym place, and then it slowly cuts into the trailer, which is
Mm,
kind of similar. Like, didn't the Doctor Strange, I think, started with the WandaVision scene and then slowly lead into the trailer or something like that?
yeah,
Yeah,
crazy. But yeah, this one I would also argue is one of the more iconic ones as well, next to kind of
sure,
the
yeah,
period. Look, I would say the two Thanos ones that we'll talk about in a minute. Like I think this one always kind of gets undercut because I think the other one is so good. Fine, I'll do it myself. That I forget about this one. Like I just forget the Thanos staring into the background. Um,
yeah.
do you remember your reaction with this one? Like, did you know who Thanos was at that time?
I kind of knew just based off of, like, at the time I was still way more DC, so I just kind of at the time knew him as Marvel's Dark Side, pretty much.
Hmm.
Like, when he showed up, I was like, oh yeah, that's Marvel's big guy who does, like, he's like the Marvel version of Crisis on Infinite Earths or whatever. It wasn't until, like,
Just
I think around Winter Soldier, because that was when Agents of Shield was coming out, was that I really started getting into kind of the comics and sort of the lore of everything. But I remember it being like exciting, just being like, because this was the first one of them that I saw in cinemas. So it was kind of the first time I
mm,
remember seeing a post credit scene or like being there in the cinema for post credit scene. So it was like so unusual and so different. Like, I don't think we stayed for the shawarma scene. I think we had this and then that was it. I think we
right.
left and then I mean, I'm not annoyed we missed the shawarma scene anyway because it's kind of the shawarma scene feels like what the MCU does nowadays with its post credit scenes.
I love
Um,
it though.
no, it's
I
fun.
think it's
It's
one of my
funny.
favorites.
It
I
is. It
love
is
just
nice and sweet.
I love just getting to see heroes just like there is
Chill.
like a big like Twitter controversy where like heroes shouldn't be eating sandwiches and stuff like that photo of like the DC the DC Trinity eating the sandwiches
Yeah.
at a burger shop. But like that's not DC. They shouldn't be doing that. But I love heroes just kind of like
No, I do. Yeah, it's
hanging
pretty
out.
normal.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
just love the concept of like the workers like their shop is destroyed and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, can we get like a bunch of food please? And they're being like, I you saved our lives, I guess so. Like that's such
Oh, yeah,
a
all
fun
right.
concept.
It's like this whole city's destroyed and there's rubble
Our
everywhere.
oven's
Like,
gone,
sure.
but
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
try and
literally.
cook you something up.
We'll make a fire here on the ground. This is before Josh Brolin as well, was Thanos.
Yeah, it
Which
was.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, the one project where he's not Josh Brolin.
No, I mean, I don't even know if I saw this scene the first time I watched Avengers. Like this, I'm pretty sure Avengers was my first like proper Marvel movie period that I sat down and watched. Like I'm trying to think,
Sure, yeah.
oh, but, at least live action because like I think I saw some of the, like the animated stuff. Like I saw like the next gen, the movie with the kids in it and stuff like that. Like, I
Yeah,
saw that one, but like especially like Marvel live action film. I think this was the first one. Did not know post credit scenes were a thing. I probably just turned it off throughout the credits or whatever. And if I did, I most definitely did not know who Thanos was. Like I would have
yeah.
had no idea. I wonder. Like I would be very curious to ask someone at that time of like, what's your thoughts on the scene? Like a very modern audience. Like, did that do anything for you? Did that impress you at all? Are you curious who this guy is? But it's cool how early they were able to set this up, and then how well I think they were able to pay Thanos off.
Yeah. Like, I think it's a cool design as well. Like, it feels like a product of its time in that the Thanos design here is a lot different to what he ultimately ended up looking like.
Hmm.
Like, just with the giant helmet and everything. Like, this is a very much feels like a comic book Thanos. And, like, not to say he doesn't feel or look like comic book Thanos in Endgame or Infinity War, but there's a feel here where it looks kind of like he stepped out of the pages of like the original Avengers, like Infinity Gauntlet
Yeah,
run.
yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's a nice little tease that kind of wrap up the the first chapter
Yeah,
saga, the first saga of the MCU for sure, or not saga, phase. I'm sorry. Um,
sure. I get you.
and then stepping into phase two, we have Iron Man 3. I feel like this one's not my favorite. I feel like this is not one of my favorite post credit scenes. When you talked about like them being more silly now, I would say this
This
fit
feels like
in
that.
very well. Yeah.
Yeah. This feels like definitely the first one that Marvel put out that you're like, okay, so this is the first film that the post-credit scene doesn't forward along the MCU narrative or doesn't
Mm,
like hype you up for the next film. Just kind of
sure.
like whatever.
Yeah, which I don't think is bad, especially with I think Iron Man 3 kind of being the soft launch into phase 2. Like it's weird. I think Iron Man 3 is weird because again, I love it in concept. Like I love the
Yeah.
idea of like getting to it's not some like big world ending event. It's like Tony being able to take a moment and grieve over this thing that happened to him, have this
Yeah.
PTSD moment. So, and I think ending with it kind of this chill, just kind of two friends talking and a fun little joke, I think it's pretty okay. And just getting these two like interacting, like I think these two are one of the most like underrated MCU duos. Like I love Bruce and Tony. I
I do
wish
as
we
well.
could have got more of them.
They're great in
Um,
Age of Ultron, the two of them.
they are, yeah. It's kind of one of my issues with the MCU is we don't get a lot of times for characters to just like
Yeah.
chill, like interact, have this banter. Like Winter Soldier is one of my favorite movies, and one of the things I love about that is like Steve and Nat get to just hang out for that entire movie. Like they feel
Yeah.
like it feels like a buddy cop comedy that most of the other ones didn't get the chance to really do.
Completely agree with that.
It's fun stuff. I have nothing else to say on this one. If
Yeah, I
you're,
don't really. This one's kind of just one that's like, I was like, yep, that's definitely a scene that was put at
right,
the end of the movie.
it's very Doctor Strange too with their
Yeah,
post credit scenes. Yeah.
it's
Um.
over.
Speaking of things being over, Thor: The
I
Dark
love this
World.
scene.
I like this scene. I think there's a fun setup stuff here.
So I have my own like personal MCU rewatch list that doesn't coincide with whatever the official list is, and on my list, I always make it so that it goes Thor: The Dark World, Guardians 1, Guardians 2, then Captain America: Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron,
Mm,
because I think this post credit scene just leads into Guardians of the Galaxy 1
oh,
so perfectly
I would agree.
that it
Yeah,
like you can because like this feels like the first tease of the real cosmic side of the MCU. Where you
yeah,
got the Collector, you've got the first kind of Infinity Stone. It's just I love the scene just because of what it means for the rest of the MCU. Like you got Volstagg
yeah.
and Sif here bringing in, and that's them. Oh, the actor's name from Ahsoka, the one who passed away recently.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just a cool scene. I can't believe I forgot his name.
It
He's
is,
Punisher as
and
well. Oh, Ray Stevenson.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, Ray
yeah,
Stevenson.
but yeah. That's a good scene.
It is, and it kind of sucks because like some of these characters is one of the last times we get to see really Civ in the MCU for a while outside of
Yeah,
Agents of Shield, right? Where
this
she came,
her Agents of Shield appearance was her last Agents of Shield appearance was like just after this, and then that was
yeah.
it.
I'm always mad how they treated a lot of the like Thor
Same.
co-cast, like Civ. How they treated her in Thor 4 was like the most disrespectful thing I think they could have done. Like I almost rather
Absolutely.
they didn't bring her back if that's how they were going to treat her. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of rough. But no, I would agree. I think getting this cosmic side and seeing this character be like introduced in this way is just like holy shit. Like it's really
Yeah.
cool. And I feel like we never got much with him. Like he was in Guardians, right? He was in the first Guardians. He wasn't. That's the only time we saw him, right? Was this in Guardians?
He was in for the Collector.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Was he
in
in something
Infinity
else?
War as well.
Oh, Infinity War.
When
Okay.
Thanos kind of goes to nowhere to get
Right.
the Reality
Right.
Stone off of him.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't get much of him. He's still there, right? Like he's still kicking.
Yeah, pretty sure he is because he was in
I,
What If a fair bit as well.
oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, I'd like to see him again. That'd be cool. Bring back all these characters. I'd give Civ something. I'd watch like a Civ show. That'd be cool.
I would as well. Yeah, I mean, I remember when Love and Thunder came out. Somebody released like a fake watch list for Love and Thunder, and they included the two Sif Agents of Shield episodes on it.
Yeah.
And like, obviously they just meant because for Sif, but everybody at the time was like, "Oh my god, does this mean she's gonna reference when she fought the Kree on Agents of Shield or something like that?" And then she ended up being in the movie for 2 minutes, and it was like her worst
I
appearance.
remember seeing that list, but like maybe they like fixed the list, but like
Oh
I
yeah.
saw the one where it was they referenced the Agents of Shield episodes, but they weren't the Civ ones. They were the ones
Oh
the
yeah.
ice Billy, is that his name? The ice guy in like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Hydra the Shield Academy. I was just
Yeah.
like how is this? How could this possibly be relevant? Like,
I do remember that, so yeah.
does the Stranger Things kid appear on Thor: Love and Thunder?
I
Like,
I think the credit scene for that episode, though, was when it, like, led into the Sif episode. I
oh,
think it was
okay,
when the Asgardians first come to Earth was, like, the very end of that episode. Credit scene. Ooh,
interesting.
or it could be
Okay,
the episode after that, I think.
okay.
Lorelai, I think her name was, when she shows up at the very end in the credit scene, which leads into the next one, which Agents of Shield was also good at that, of having, like, credit scenes that led into the next stuff.
Let's rank every Agents of Shield post credit scene.
Yeah. Hey, we could do it. This is ranking every episode, but
It's just you're right. We may as well just rank the episodes at that point. Oh my god, it's a 10-hour stream. We'll be here forever.
yeah.
Um,
Remember when the credit scene for the final episode was supposed to be Deke with an eye patch in his new timeline? And he was, like, doing his own Avengers Initiative thing. That would've been so cool. I
that
wanna
would
see
be
it.
fun. That'd be really fun. All right, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which just had a birthday recently, right? It
Did,
just
yeah,
turned.
yesterday.
How
Or
old
maybe
is it?
today,
10?
officially, I'm not
Is it?
sure.
Is it
10, yeah.
10?
2014. April 4th, 2014.
Whew! Crazy, crazy stuff. I mean, this is still probably my favorite MCU movie of all time.
Yeah, same.
And this week on Twitter, there's been a whole trend of people being like, "Actually, it always sucked, and
I
it's
hate
this
that so
garbage
much.
movie."
And
And
the
it's
version
like,
of the scene they're showing isn't even the real scene. It's like a cut up version of the scene. Like, there's no wonder it looks bad. It's because 'cause you're not showing
yeah,
the actual scene.
it's I hate MCU Twitter so much
Yeah,
because like
same.
everything is always bad all the time. Like anything that's people loved now, oh, it's on Twitter now. We must hate the scene. We must take apart this one scene from a
Yeah,
movie and rank on how terrible it was. I hate it so much. I think
same.
it just the MCU fan base as a whole. I could pick apart for hours, but no, I think these are two amazing post credit scenes. Like I think these are both things that lead up to the future of Marvel very well. Um, or I guess it's the same scene, right? But it's the two different parts of it. Well,
Sure.
like, did you know Scarlet Witch as a character when this scene happened?
Yes, I did know. I mainly knew these 2 just as of children of Magneto. Because I
Sure.
remember at the time, like, this was when I was first really probably getting into Marvel. I remember knowing Quicksilver was gonna be in Days of Future Past, and that film was coming out in a few months, and, like, 2 months after this, I think. Or
Oh,
maybe
that's
it was
kind of
just maybe it
crazy.
was May. And I remember at the time being like, "This is so weird. They've got Quicksilver in this, and he's also in Days of Future Past." I was like, "And they've got Magneto. Is Magneto gonna be in the MCU then?" Like, there's just the kind of things that
Right.
just started, like it was like the kinda, like, the Emergency Awesome stuff. It was like this is the point in time where I was, like, constantly thinking, like, Emergency Awesome stuff where I was like, "Oh my god, what if Bucky is gonna be Captain America in the next film? Wouldn't that be cool?" It's like, no,
Right.
that was never gonna happen. But no, I love this scene so much. I think it's just the reason why I love them is because they are followed up on pretty much immediately.
Right.
Like, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy as the next film, but straight after that, you've got Age of Ultron. And Age of Ultron has the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver thing followed up immediately, and then Ant-Man after Age of Ultron has a post-credit scene that follows up on the Bucky stuff. So, like, it feels like you don't wait long at all to finally get your resolution for these. You're only waiting a year
Right.
to finally figure out what's going on with both of these scenes, which is something I think the Phase 2 did so well that you just can't do with Phase 3 and 4 because of the amount of projects they're making. Is just, actually not waiting 3 or 4 years before these things get followed up on. I also just love
Right.
Bucky just kinda looking at the Captain America museum. I think it's really cool with the music playing and it kinda, like, zooms in on him. It's really good.
Yeah. I agree. I fully agree. And I sorry. Again, I don't know. My MCU or watch order at this point, like I wasn't in order. I was just kind of watching things sporadically,
Sure,
so
yeah.
I don't even know what my reaction was to most of these scenes. Really, but like kind of looking back at it, like what a cool teaser that must have been, especially for people in the know and know who these characters were. Just like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Is Magneto coming? Are mutants coming to the MCU? Like I bet that was a huge
Yeah.
topic of conversation. And like I do remember again. I didn't watch the. I don't know if I watched this before Age of Ultron or after. I don't remember my order, but like we'll get to the that kind of stuff. But like what hype characters are kind of introduced in this era, and I
Yeah.
think slowly just like this was such a fun time because we're slowly seeing this universe really be born and introducing all these different aspects. Like you have the cosmic stuff coming in here. You have the magic. You have the soldier stuff. Like there's so many avenues where it is very like like, I think the storylines are very straightforward, but
Yeah.
there's so many versions they're going with it, like so many genres I feel like they were going with.
They're building something,
Yeah.
and you can feel it.
Were you mad that they weren't mutants inside the MCU? Like, were you
No.
happy with how they went about it?
At this point, I didn't really like care overly much because it was still to me. It was. I mean, like, I mean, I guess if it happened today, sure, I might have been. But at the time, it was like whatever. It wasn't really until I guess Inhumans started being part of the conversation for what was happening in
Mm,
the MCU that I started to really care about if somebody coming into the MCU was a mutant, if they were an Inhuman or whatever. Like, I had problems with Miss Marvel not being an Inhuman, whereas if Miss Marvel came out in 2014, I probably would have been the same as
yeah,
I was here, where I was like, I don't really mind too much if she's an Inhuman or a mutant.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I've had theories for years where like, well, once the Fox, like once they own Fox, maybe they'll start to retcon their characters, and I could
sure,
still
yeah,
see them doing that in some way, shape, or form. Like, one of realizing, oh, maybe it's just like the stones unlocked her mutant gene or whatever. Like,
yeah,
there's been that, or even Secret Wars undoes things with their genes or whatever. But yeah, and it's crazy how far like Scarlet Witch is one of the most popular like MCU characters now. Like she has such a
absolutely, yeah. She's
strong
got such a
fan
fan base,
base. Yeah. And
which
then
is kind of
Quick
crazy to me. Like, I mean, not that she's a bad character or anything, but it just that she's the one who's kind of blown up so much is pretty
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if it's more about like the actress than the
Yeah, maybe
actor.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Like, yeah, just like an attractive actress in the MC. I don't know.
Yeah, could be,
And
could
then you
be.
have the Quicksilver stuff as well that like didn't age as well, I guess, as far as just like well, he dies like
Yeah,
instantly.
didn't see
So
that coming, bro. You dead. You got shot. You
he
never came back.
he's another character I could see them bringing back in like Secret Wars or even
I
Deadpool 3.
I keep thinking that, and then every time I'm thinking, "Oh, he's finally coming back," he doesn't come back. Like, I was thinking we were gonna see him in Endgame. No. Then I was like, "Oh, well, we'll see him in WandaVision," and they brought in Evan
And
Peters.
Peters.
Like,
Which was hype, which I
it was hype,
loved.
yeah, it was hype.
And then they kind of killed that instantly. But
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's weird. A lot of things happened with the setup of the scene. Uh, Guardians of the
Howard
Galaxy.
the Duck.
Howard the Duck. And we also had Cosmo. I think that was the first Cosmo
Yeah, it
appearance,
was, I
right?
do remember that, yeah.
Which I didn't like. I forgot all about Cosmo when I like prior to
Sure, yeah.
rewatching these. I was like, oh my gosh, that's where they appear. I feel like they haven't done like a lot with Howard the Duck. I feel like with this
It's
scene,
been
it
cameo scenes
implies.
pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like this scene implies they're going to be doing something with the Howard the Duck character. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to get a movie or whatever. But like, or he's going to join the next Guardians film as like a or whatever. Like that's kind of what the scene implies to me. But no, you're right. He's just like sporadically in there. Like he's in
Yeah.
Endgame. He's in What If. He just kind of hangs about. Are you? Would you watch a Howard the Duck movie? Like, do you think one would work?
I mean, I'd watch it for sure, but I don't know if I'd want it. And I think if they're doing, like, a Howard the Duck project, I would hope it would just be, like, a Disney Plus sort of
Sure.
like a Disney Plus, like, what do they call them? Like, special feature? Where it's,
Oh,
like,
that could be cool.
the
Yeah,
length of, like, Werewolf by Night or, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
sure.
Because I don't think I could do, a 2-hour Howard the Duck film in cinemas. Like, I know we have one from the '80s with George
Yeah,
Lucas, being involved
it's
in it,
such a weird
but
movie.
it's r yeah, I don't guess in the
Movie
'80s,
has
the only
duck sex. Like it's so weird.
but, like, it's crazy to think that in the '80s, in terms of theatrically released Marvel films, it was, like, just Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
Like, that was it.
and it
Like,
fit in
that's
that time era very well. Like
yeah.
it hit in the. I don't think I've even fully seen it. I just like actually that might actually be one of the first. Weirdly enough, that actually might be one of the first live action Marvel movies I've seen because
Oh,
I've
wow.
been like. I went to someone's house and they were just watching the movie, and it was just like
Damn, they're just
I didn't know it
watching
was
Howard the Duck?
Marvel back then. Like I didn't
Yeah,
know
sure, sure.
it was just like this is a weird film. But
It is a weird film.
I don't know. I could see a world where a Howard the Duck movie could work. Like there's a world where it could happen. I just I'm not like gathering for him. This is like give me
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Howard the Duck
exactly.
line. But like there's a director, there's a filmmaker that can make like a 10 out of 10 Howard the Duck movie, I feel like.
That's it, like, if they made it more than just kind of little jokes, I'd be into it, sort of
Yeah,
thing. It's like, I just if it's being, like a Howard the Duck
comedy.
movie
Yeah.
or yeah, comedy movie or I don't know, Shang-Chi 2, like, I'm gonna go with Shang-Chi 2 every time, It's like
a
I
character study.
yeah,
who
yeah.
who is Howard the Duck?
Who is the man under the duck? Like, who is he? Um,
Funny.
yeah, I don't think they ever will do anything with him. I think he'll always just be used as kind of these little jokes. But it's mainly been Gunn
Oh,
using them as jokes as well. Like he appears in
yeah,
all the Guardians films in like the tiniest of roles. I
right.
think this was always meant to be just that, is like a little joke.
Yeah, reference.
Yeah,
Just say, hey, we know the comics. There's that guy from the comics.
for sure.
Um, Age of Ultron. Well, this one kind of goes into the one that we were talking about previously, and I had said I
Uh,
think this is like the superior version of the Thanos setup.
I have a really cool story about this, if you want to hear
Okay.
about Age of Ultron. So at the time, well, not at the time, it was a few months before Age of Ultron came out. It was, I think, February 2015. I was on work experience for school. Do you guys do like work experience over there? Where like you take 2 weeks, you go work in a shop or something just out of school, and then you go back to school. And you have to like do like an essay on the work you did.
Uh, Not in my school, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, we did that. We had to do that in fifth year of our school,
Okay.
and I my placement was in a shop called Smith's, which is like a toy shop over here, um, and it was February 2015. And, I'm doing my 2 weeks. I remember because it was the same time Walking Dead season 5 was airing. Because I remember, and Better Call Saul season 1 came out. Because I like would go home and then like Better Call Saul and Walking Dead and had new episodes. It was great. But um, when I was working there for it, they got in a shipment of Avengers Age of Ultron toys, and it was like the
Oh,
first merchandise or the first toys for the film. And I remember like taking them out of the box and like I was like, oh yeah, you can stock them. I was like, this is so cool. They got Avengers of Age of Ultron stuff. Like, I've never seen this before. I've never even seen these online. So I'm putting them on the shelves and whatever. And then like the manager comes running over at one point and was like, we got to pack those up now. We got to pack those up. He's like, Disney's not supposed to let those go on sale for another few weeks or something like that. We just got a shipment today. They can't go on sale yet. So we'd like run around the shop and like take them off people who are going to buy them. Be like, hey, sorry, those actually aren't supposed to be on sale. But it was like this really cool, just little bit where like there were no spoilers on them. Like it was just
oh,
just the normal sort of toys. But it was like these are the first kind of looks at some Age of Ultron stuff. Like the first like look at a certain Scarlet Witch pose, and
right.
they're kind of they're being sold and stuff like that. That was really cool. But yeah, I like the scene.
There wasn't any Thanos toys.
No, there was none. Not in our shop anyway.
Okay. That makes sense. They probably wait for a couple years. But no.
Yeah.
I quote this scene feeling on the regular. It was like,
Do it myself.
fine, I'll do it myself. Like it's
Sure,
such
yeah.
like it's such a hype. Like I remember I made like a like after Crisis was like we learned about Crisis, like I made like a Crisis edit on my YouTube and I just put Thanos at the end of it to be like, this is like Darkseid, throw him in there. He's like the
Yeah.
fine, I'll do it. Like it's so I don't know, there's just something so iconic about that scene. It was like the first time we're like, okay, he's coming. Like we gotta get
Yeah.
ready. This is and it's so close. Like we're heading into the third saga, which again we'll talk about, inside the future once we kind of dive into phase 3 and stuff like that. But like I don't know. It's just something really cool about this sequence.
It's really good. It's like we're there. It's like we've been
Yeah.
leading up to this, and we're finally at it.
Yeah. I feel like Age of Ultron's a very weird movie for me. Like I feel like the more it ages, the more I actually really I really like it.
That's exactly how I feel. I didn't like it when it came out too much. I mean, I thought it was fine, but I was like disappointed.
Yeah.
But then, as its time has gone by, I'm like, no, this is a good film.
Yeah. I agree. I don't know. And I feel like this is one of the highlights of that movie, just to kind of because Age of Ultron does kind of feel like it shouldn't feel like that because it's Age of Ultron, but it does feel like a bit of filler in a way. Like it kind
A
of feels
little
like
bit,
they're
yeah.
just kind of like pandering time to get to this. We're like, what do we do for this in between film? It's a Ultron, and I don't think Ultron should be used like that. Like I think Ultron should be like a Thanos level villain. Like
Yeah.
I think Age of Ultron could be a phase of just like building up to that because that's
Yeah.
such a massive story. I feel like they kind of lacked the stakes of like Ultron being Ultron, but like I don't know, it's still good. It's
For
still
sure.
fun.
In hindsight, I do like how important the film was for like Sokovia and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like a lot of the events in Civil War don't happen without this. So in a way,
Yeah,
Age of Ultron leads to the Avengers being split, which is why Thanos wins in
right.
Infinity War because they're not together. Which I think that's really cool. But it's also a lot of you got to look into it. Like it's not readily obvious that this film is that important until you're kind of like, oh, I guess it is. Like from the
Yeah,
outset, yeah, it looks like this kind of just sort of fun Avengers team up film
Mm,
that deals with a villain that where you're probably not going to see again. Which I think that's what Avengers 5 should be. I think
yeah.
we should do another one of those for that.
Right. And also, like, there is a specialness to it where it is the only time that the Avengers are a team.
Yeah,
Like, not building up the team, not tearing apart the team, trying to rebuild it. They are just a team.
yeah,
And there's
very
a
true.
funness of just like hanging out and making stuff together, like drinking a beer together, just kind of trying to figure out this villain as a team. Like, there's a funness to that
I never thought of
again,
that. That they're like, this
like,
is the only like Avengers film.
yeah, it's the only real Avengers film. Yeah. And I'm not saying that we should have had more though, because I think the way it ultimately went was very good. Like, I liked the
Same.
journey of the Avengers films, but like I've pitched for a while, like an Avengers like TV show like that takes place in this time, I think would be really fun just to see them go on missions and stuff like that, work as a team and stuff like that. Obviously, don't bring back the voice actors and stuff, but like your What If type style, but it's like 8 episodes of an Avengers story. I think could be kind of fun.
That'd be awesome. I'd love that.
And then to wrap up phase 2, we have Ant-Man, which I always forget Ant-Man's the one to wrap it up. Like I always think it's like your Age of Ultron.
It's a weird one to wrap it up.
It's Ant-Man.
It's same as like Spider-Man Far From Home was the wrap up of phase 3,
Yeah,
I
that
guess.
was weird. Like it should have been Endgame. It's like actually just one more and then we can wrap it up.
Which I mean, in retrospect, I think it makes sense because Far From Home does feel like an aftermath film. But then at
Yeah.
the same time, a lot of phase 4 is kind of aftermath stuff, like
Yeah, Black
WandaVision,
Widow.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, Black Widow. So I guess Spider-Man
Yeah,
could have been
Black
in there.
Widow was such a weird start to phase 4. Like I think
Yes, yeah.
Spider-Man would have been such a and honestly probably glad they didn't wait to put that out because then that would have been stuck in the COVID era.
It
But
would have
like
been, yeah.
unless they just had like a month later be like, okay, this is now the start of phase 4. You don't have to
Yeah.
wait a year or whatever. But Ant-Man, which I was kind of thinking recently and prior to kind of jumping on this post-credit scene, this might be a really hot take, but I kind of don't think phase 2 of Marvel is that different from phase 4 of Marvel.
Oh, yeah?
Like if you're looking at kind of the roundup here, I think the main difference is like the pure quantity that phase 4 has.
Sure, yeah.
Like if I'm looking at things like Ant-Man, I'm looking at things like the Age of Ultron, I'm looking at things like Thor: The Dark World. I think those are all kind of films that feel on par with what phase 4 is giving us. And I think phase 4 has a lot better movies. Like they
I mean, yeah, I
have
agree with
like
that, yeah.
No Way Home, you have Shang-Chi, you have a lot of these big great Loki, you have a lot of these great projects. Obviously none go as high as like Winter Soldier and Guardians. I think those two films is what single-handedly holds this at kind of the top of it. It's like, oh
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
these two amazing movies. But I think if you were gather there's 5 in the saga, right? There's what? 1,
3,
2,
4,
3, 4, 5,
6.
6, 7.
Yeah.
7,
Oh,
right?
7. Okay.
I think if you took like the 7 best of phase 4 and like these 4 or these 7, I mean, I think phase 4 is probably better. It's just like the fact
Sure.
that like there's just so much and like there's so much more. Like phase 4 is like phase 1, 2, and 3 put together. So I think I don't know. I think I'm always going to be in the camp that I think phase 4 kind of gets a bad rap just due to how large it is. But
I think like maybe I just need to rewatch them, but I think Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World are still maybe my lowest MCU films.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I think like I would agree that kind of anything in phase 4 beats them, but I also just think it's just the sheer quantity of phase 4. Like the fact that
yeah,
phase
I
4
agree.
is the size of the first 3 phases is
It's a lot.
insane.
Yeah,
But I think that's just because you got the Disney Plus shows. Like it's hard not to do that when you've got
yeah,
TV shows kind of really properly thrown into the mix. Um, but I kind of agree that it's like Guardians 3, the conversation can be made that it's better than Guardians 1. Like
yeah,
some people think it is, some people think it
yeah,
isn't. But the conversation can be made that it's just as strong, if not maybe stronger. Then you've
yeah,
got like, well, yeah, I don't think anything beats Winter Soldier. You still have things like Shang-Chi, No Way Home. To me, Multiverse of Madness is really, really, really cool, mainly because of the Raimi direction.
yeah,
Like you've got a lot of films in there that do, in my opinion, beat out Ant-Man, Thor 2, Iron Man 3.
yeah,
Maybe not Age of Ultron. I think Age of Ultron has really grown on me a lot. But
yeah.
I agree that it's like they're pretty comparable.
Mm-hmm. And like even films like Ant-Man, like I think if Ant-Man came out now, people would despise that movie. Like
Oh,
I think people
absolutely,
would
yeah.
be like, "This is the most mid. Marvel's mid again. It's so much."
Yeah.
And when
He's
when it
fighting
came out,
Thomas the Tank Engine.
yeah, no, people would hate it, and people still hate it. Like there's a lot of people who don't
Yeah.
like the movie, but I feel like relatively it gets a lot of praise. Like I feel like most people enjoy it, and I guess my whole point was just kind of like I think there's just a lot of unfairness when it comes to phase 4
Yeah.
and how people
Yeah.
view it. Just like it's all bad all the time. Where it's like But was it that different from like this phase or even some of phase one? I really like phase one. I think it's the most like complete, but I feel like it's not a lot of it's not that far off from what phase four has given
Sure.
us, or even five. But I don't know. That's my little
No,
rant,
yeah.
I guess.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I think Ant-Man 1 is still my favorite of the Ant-Man trilogy. I think
I
like,
agree.
and I think it's just kind of the scale of it is so like,
Small.
hey, I was trying to say I was like, oh, I don't want to say small because that's like a no, but like it's like the way Paul Rudd's he's just Scott. He's like a thief, just
Yeah.
trying to steal something, and then he gets wrapped up in this whole mess with Darren Cross and all that. Like
Yeah.
it's hey, it's your name, but it's like I don't know. I vibe with that more than Ant-Man the Wasp and Quantumania being so tied to the quantum realm, which
Yeah.
I just think the way the MCU handled the quantum realm was kind of boring. It never really grabbed me in either film.
I like Ant-Man. Ant-Man 2's tough because, like, and we could talk about this the next time we do it, but like, I kind of like how like small, but like how like low stakes that film is. Like the
Yeah,
lowest
sure,
stakes in the MCU by like miles, I would say.
sure,
Like
yeah,
outside of maybe like Echo, like it's so small and it's just kind of like I actually think it's a really nice kind of like, and this is probably why most people hate the movie, but I think it's a nice like palate cleanse after Endgame, where it's like everyone died, and this movie's like, yeah, we're robbing an ice cream truck, it's fine. Like
yeah,
it's kind of like a fun off little adventure that I enjoy every now and again.
sure, yeah.
It feels actually very in line with Phase 4 of the MCU,
It
actually.
does, yeah.
Like just kind of
I
these
would
kind of
agree.
one-off stories where characters chilling out. Um,
I'll forever
but
say that Ant-Man the Wasp, the where it came out was the worst thing.
yeah,
Like coming out between Infinity War and Endgame.
yeah, I agree. As much as again I like it, but like for a modern audience, I get it. Like if you want to
Yeah.
see the setup of all that, like I probably should have been. I don't know where you would even put it. Like maybe I
I
don't have
just
the
make
fate.
I just make the credit scene of Ant-Man the Wasp be the credit scene of Infinity War, and then have
Hmm.
Ant-Man the Wasp come out before Infinity War.
Yeah, I mean you can argue Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't need to happen. Like there's nothing really in
Yeah,
that movie
true.
outside of like Ghost being there and again
Getting
the ending.
Janet back from the quantum realm.
Like yeah, maybe you have that be another Endgame post credit scene. Like
Yeah,
or not Endgame. The you
Infinity
have so
War.
what you have the Captain America one and then maybe the Ant-Man one.
Oh yeah. I get
Or
you.
even make Ant-Man like maybe it's too much, but like a subplot in Infinity War. So like there's a
Sure.
couple minutes set aside for them doing stuff on the thing and they get sucked in at the end or whatever. Like maybe that, but that's a very bloated movie, like as is, so maybe
Yeah.
they wouldn't have time for that. But
I think it was smart to keep kind of Scott and Clint outside of Infinity War and have them be in Endgame.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Um we got a little sidetracked, but that's okay. Thoughts on these post credit the final one here. And we had the two different post credit scenes, right? I think
Yeah,
they're
very different in
um
terms of like tone and all that.
yeah. Okay, so the Wasp one, I thoughts on Wasp as a character because I know the actress has got like a lot of hate over the years. Um, are you a fan of her as a character?
I think I think she's really strong in Ant-Man and in Ant-Man the Wasp. Um, I don't think she really left much of an impact on me in Quantumania. But to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, outside of Scott and Kang, I think no one
Not
really
a
left
lot.
much of an
Yeah.
impact on me out of Quantumania. So I think she's great in this, and I think it makes sense to set her up as the Wasp for the next film. Like I think
Yeah.
at this point in Phase 2, we really are setting up what the next lineup of Avengers looked or
Right.
seemed to be, which was like you got Quicksilver and
Falcon
Scarlet
and
Witch, you got Falcon, you got Ant-Man, you got the
Wasp.
Wasp, which I think was really cool. Like they're bringing in a lot of those original Avengers, like the Wasp and Ant-Man being the founding members in the comics,
Right.
then Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch joining up with the Avengers. I think like 10 issues in, 17 issues in maybe. Um, so yeah, I think it's a good scene for that. The Bucky scene I still love. I know it's just a scene from Civil War, but I think it's a testament to how great the MCU at this point was to following up straight away. Like
Right.
it's like here's a scene from Civil War. It's the next film. Like see you there next year. Like that's just hype.
I agree. Like I remember watching the Winter Soldier and Ant-Man pretty close in just like probably like the same couple weeks, and like doing the Winter Soldier and then this, like there was a hype of like, oh my gosh, they're building to something. I felt like that was the first time I got to see that, just like an MCU fan, that they're building to something really big here. And like Civil War, like I remember I wasn't even all caught up with the MCU by Civil War, but like the hype when that movie was coming out was insane. Like I remember just going around the like lunch table at the, like in school and being like, "Who do you think's going to win, Iron Man or Cap? Or Team Iron Man or Team Cap?" Like there was such a hype kind of building to that event, and I think this was kind of the first real build up to that.
Sure.
We also talked about last week how like, and I was thinking about this as I was going through because this is like the third post credit scene with Bucky in it. I think it's just how much Bucky was in these early phases. Like
He was there for a long time.
yeah, like we were talking about last week. Like Bucky's the most like bullied character in the MCU. It was like he was the core of the first three phases. Like he was in. Yes, it's about Tony Stark and your Iron Man, or the Tony and Steve, but like their whole thing kind of surrounds Bucky at its core. Like it's so crazy how much he would, and even in phase 3, like he has like the White Wolf stuff in phase 3, and like there's so much with him. So
I also just love like the idea that Steve and Sam are like behind the scenes in the events of between Captain America Winter Soldier and when Civil War comes out, like during Age of Ultron, they're sneakily trying to find Bucky, and they're like, we've got to find Bucky ourselves. Like he's our friend. We've got to find him. Like, I don't know. I love that dynamic between the three of those characters. I think like Steve, Bucky, and Sam might be my favorite trinity in the Marvel films.
I agree.
It's and like Bucky and Steve, like just the friendship is so good.
I would agree. I'm gonna miss them inside the next like Captain America film. Like I understand why people are so upset about that, but also like I think it's okay to give them a bit of a break. Like let them kind of soar, like thrive on their own a bit, and then they can rejoin like Avengers and stuff like that. We have a character from Mr. Darth Bunyan. This is kind of an interesting thing. He talks about Valkyrie as an openly gay character in the in the MCU, and it's like, is it implied or is it an open thing? And are they the first openly gay character in the MCU? And
what about Joe Russo in Avengers Endgame? Or was
I would say Internals was probably the only like openly gay character. I could go on a rant on how I feel about how the MCU has treated
and you'd be valid to do so.
Like, how they treated the LGBTQ plus community, and I think
it's insane.
Both Internals and Thor: Love and Thunder boiled my gills in different ways. Where like Internals was like, that was like the marketing of the movie was like, it's gay, we're guys, trust me, we're getting representation, it's here. And it's just like, yeah, they have a sex scene in the movie and that's good, but like I kind of felt like they were pandering. Like that's kind of the vibe I got, was like, trust me guys, it's here. Where we put it, didn't feel like it was in there because hey, that's who these characters are. It's like, hey, don't bully us guys, we're woke, we're totally woke. Where Thor: Love and Thunder, it kind of felt like the same thing, but I feel like they were very unlucky with that situation. Where like the fan, first of all, I would say as a fan, that's a weird question to ask your filmmakers. Like, how gay is the movie? Because there is no good answer to that. Like I like, and like there's a lot of hate on oh, what's her name? Jane. What's her name? Natalie, right?
Natalie Portman,
Where she's like super gay, and it's like, was she supposed to be like, nah, it's actually super straight, guys. Like, don't even worry. Like,
if you're straight, you're gonna love this film.
Yeah, like, what was she gonna say there? Like, it's it's tough. And then the Marvels was, where we were kind of pushing the Valkyrie and Carol stuff, which I personally enjoyed. I don't know. That also kind of felt like a bit of pandering as well. Like, it felt like it was kind of there to be like, she's gay, guys, but we're not going to show that she's gay. I don't know. Like, I felt like you could have had like a kiss on the cheek in that scene or something, just to be like, yeah, they're a couple. It didn't bother me too much, but there was a bit of like an eye roll in that scene to be like, all right, they're trying to imply it, but not actually showing it.
It's like, we still want our movie to release in those parts of the world where they don't like this sort of stuff, so we're not going to confirm anything. So we're going to be in the middle ground and not confirm or deny anything, which just makes us look like we're pandering to both groups. It's so stupid.
And Agatha's in kind of the same boat where like they keep saying like, hey, the show's going to be, we're going to have like characters in those groups. And it's like, cool, show me, don't tell me. Like, show
exactly.
It's like, I'll believe it when I see it, because up until this point, I think they've had atrocious, like, I mean, but also to like play both sides. Like, the MCU just doesn't do a very good job with like ships and like couples in general. Like, there's just not a lot of them, and everyone we do have are either like dead or broken up. Like you had Tony and Pepper,
Yeah.
they're gone. The Black Panther stuff, unfortunately,
Peter
went
and
the way it
MJ
did.
losing
Yes,
their mind.
right. Like there's just not a lot in general, so I
Yeah.
don't know how much hate I can put on themselves. Like I don't know. It's weird. It's a
But
weird.
this is a Disney problem. Like, didn't
Yeah,
Lightyear have a really weird scene like that was similar to that, where it's like a really background, like half a second, blink and you'll miss it moment, but then they
that's
cut out
we-
for other places, I think.
that's weird because they do kiss inside the movie. Like you have a
Yeah,
same-sex couple in the movie, and that it's a great scene. It's not beating you over the head. It's just like these couples, like this is a couple in the movie, and
sure, yeah,
like his whole thing is trying to get back to his friends, and it's like they're his friends. But the thing is, it was cut. Like it was
yeah,
like in the early drafts, like it was cut from the movie, and it's like that's kind of important to who they are as
yeah,
characters. Like seeing these characters grow up, and like how the whole point of the movie is he's outside of the timeline. He's trying to get back to his friends, and that's very important to show how they've grown up and have kids and stuff like that. And just like cutting that out kind of takes a little bit of the punch. Why would you cut that out? And it's just
for sure.
like, but you're very right. Disney, and again, I could go on this rant forever of just how they treat
New
their like
podcast.
their yeah, totally. And like you have stuff like the Outhouse, where like the first like really openly gay like Disney Channel character that they were actually like first gay kiss on like your Disney Channel.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh, but the third season's getting cut to like 8 episodes. It's like, but why are you canceling it? Oh, it's a super popular show. Why are you canceling it so early? Like they weren't even going to get a season 3. They were just like, it's over now. It's like, but why? They're like, their thing was like, it doesn't fit our network demographic.
oh,
And
I
it's like,
hate that. I
but
hate that
why?
answer.
What about it doesn't fit your
Yeah, like
demographic?
explain, please.
Yeah, why? It's oh, we can go down that
I
rabbit hole
hate
for
that.
forever. But it's sad. I'm kind of looking at the roundup of characters. I don't know where stuff like that would be included in kind of the future of like everything. Again, Captain Marvel 3, maybe could have been.
Yeah,
I don't think that's happening now though. I'd love like a Valkyrie show or something like that. Like I
yeah,
think that'd
same.
be
I
cool.
think she hasn't been used nearly enough. Like she was really cool in Ragnarok, and that was kind of the only
Hmm.
place we probably saw her. Like she's been in Love and Thunder, she's been in Endgame. She wasn't in Infinity War, wasn't she? Wasn't in the beginning of that, right?
No, she was
Yeah,
in
she was.
Endgame. Yeah.
Yeah, she was gone before Thanos destroyed the ship, and then Love and Thunder. But like,
Love
I think Ragnarok was the only, and the Marvels. But I think
Yeah.
Ragnarok was the only time she was like properly used,
Yeah.
which I want to see more
I
of
would
that.
love her as like a not to say like a Valkyrie movie. I'm not saying that, especially in an era where we say there's too much characters and stuff like that.
Sure,
But
yeah,
like, I'd love to see her in like a leading role somewhere in the MCU. If that's, I'm trying to think like Avengers, but I don't know if she would fit in an. I don't know where you'd put her, but I'd
just like an Asgard based, or
be
like
cool.
an Earth Asgard based show would be really
Be cool.
interesting. That kind of deals with the politics and how this is working, how like Asgard kind of meshes with the world government. It's kind of similar to how they did like in Black Panther, kind of what in Wakanda Forever they dealt with like Wakanda dealing with now the fact that they are public to the world, and like
Sure.
how they're doing with the political things there. They could do that with the Asgard stuff because I think they're in
Sure.
Norway. I think is where they said the current Asgard is. So like New Asgard or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know. Do something there where they're part of the government or something, or like they're dealing with governments.
I still can't believe they have like in like the new Asgard they had like the snap cones where it's like the Thanos
That's
themed.
too much. That was too much for me. I didn't like that. That's a little bit of Taika Waititi's comedy going too far for me, where it's like it's not funny and it doesn't make sense in universe.
It's funny like on the outside, and then you think
Sure,
like,
yeah.
oh, that's like Hitler to the world.
Yeah.
Like same with like Flash would do that all the time, where it's like we have a
Oh, like the
Zoom
Zoom thing, yeah.
coffee. It's just like he killed like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Even in like your Miss Marvel, like you had the Comic-Con where people are like dressing up as Loki, and it's just like, huh, he
And
probably
you
like
forgot when he
killed.
blew up New York?
Yeah, like, that's like Hitler in this world. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Completely agree.
Crazy stuff. But yeah, at some point we will get back to do phase 3. Maybe we'll do like phase 3 and some of phase 4, because I know phase 4 is going to be a
It's pretty long, yeah.
It's a really long phase, so maybe we might split it up. I don't know
We're
when
gonna
we'll
have to
get
do
back
Agents
to
of
that.
Shield inside the phase 4 video as well.
Oh,
So
it's gonna be crazy.
whole,
Every
yeah
500
24-hour stream.
all because like that's gonna be crazy, because like maybe we'll split it up into like phase 4 we'll do like movies and then shows or something. Maybe
Yeah, I
we'll
could do that.
because there's a lot of stuff that come out of phase 4. But yeah, thank you everyone that tuned in today and watched. Connor, is there anything that you would like to shout out? Anything that you want to stuff that you're working on?
Had a lot of Walking Dead stuff come out over the
Yeah.
last few weeks. So they're kind of all my recent stuff. But then Daredevil, Born Again, and Punisher stuff will be coming out tonight. So talking about that, hyped for
Yes.
that, because that was a whole thing. Also, did you see the Variety article? Like, the Variety and Deadline articles were so different in how they talked about it.
Oh yeah.
The Variety article had it like, it kept saying in the article, this is John Bernthal's first time in the MCU. They're like, his entry to the MCU. They're like, they listed the cast from the Netflix shows returning, and we're like, this cast is making their debut in the MCU. Whereas Deadline was just straight up, John Bernthal's back as the Punisher. Like, it was so different.
Right.
It was frustrating.
No, I mean, I think it's going to be hard for people to accept the canon still,
Yeah,
now that
I think
it's
so
all.
as well.
Which I'm still kind of in the space of like, oh yeah, it is officially canon now. Like I'm
Same.
I'm kind
That
of
timeline
excited.
confirmed it for me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm I know like a lot of people aren't, but I'm excited for like the letterbox to start to bring in TV, so I can like really fix the
Yeah.
my MCU list. I could Daredevil at the very top, and then just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to get on, and then the list is finished. It's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Completely agree.
Yeah. As far as me coming out, things should be normal. My Walking Dead season 7 video should be out on Saturday. It's already done. It's recorded. Put that out. It was fun kind of talking about that for a good bit. All my other, we'll be back next Thursday, hopefully. With we have a fun stream planned for then as well.
Oh yeah.
Excited to get this month started and yeah, get things going.
Got Fallout next Thursday. We got what else we got next
Yeah.
Thursday? We got a whole season of that.
Knuckles is at the end of the month. We
Yeah.
have the Dead Boys coming out soon. There's a lot of great things coming out in this next
A lot
month.
of shows.
What's the movies coming out this month? We got the Fall Guy, right?
The
That looks fun.
monkey something. The Dev
Monkey
Patel one?
Man.
Yeah. there
Monkey
you go.
Man looks fun too. Yeah, a lot of great things.
Yeah. So I think
lot of-
Civil War is out next week, isn't it? The Alex Garland film.
Captain America: Civil War.
It's back.
Being re-released.
Re-release.
Crazy. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye bye.